Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the APBA Annual Convention in 2014. Well, I used to be 19. At this time, I'd like to call the meeting to order, and I'd like to introduce you to your president, Mr. Mark Wheeler. Would you come up, Mark, please?
Well, I'm reasonably certain very few of you came here to hear me talk, so I'll keep it fairly brief. Let me start out and thank our sponsors, the APBA Historical Society, that's I think's been with us for probably all 40 of these, the Highland Group, our insurance agent, Specialty Insurance, our new insurance carrier, we're very happy, Charlie and Barb Strang for the cocktail hour, Peters and May, the official logistics provider for APBA, JVC, also the Pro and Inboard Racing Commissions, and special thanks to Seattle Outboard. So with that, I may get in trouble with Fred. I'm 9 minutes ahead of schedule already. One of the fun things I get to do is present the Charlie Strang Ultimate Service Award. To qualify for this, you have to have been in the Honor Squadron a minimum of 10 years and continue to contribute to APBA during that 10-year period. I've been really pleased to be able to present the majority of these. Mark Weber had the distinct honor of giving it to the first recipient, Buddy Byers. I had the pleasure of giving it to Craig DeWald, who, among other things, is probably the best friend a J-Kid ever had in APBA. Steve Hearn, one of our busiest members, and also someone who, by the very nature of the work he does for us, most of us never know what he's doing. This year, I get to present it to another one of my heroes, someone who, when I was vice president, Mark Weber and I were working on a proposal, and we said, you know, we need to send this to somebody who will absolutely rip it apart. And we kicked around a lot of names. And we finally decided that if we really want to know what was wrong with it, it had to go to Edgar Rose. So I'd like Edgar Rose to come up and accept the Charles Strang Ultimate Service Award.
Mr. President, all you wonderful APBA members, I want to thank you for the award. I think there are a lot of other people here who would be far more deserving to receive it, but I am very happy that I got it this time. Thank you.
And now I'd like to introduce Ann Fitzgerald for the Honor Squadron portion of our program.
There are many, many members in APBA that are dedicated to our sport of powerboat racing and devote their time, their energy, and their expertise for the betterment of our organization. Their passion and dedication is something that only those of us in this organization truly understand. Some people work on all levels of our organization and also manage to be champions on the race course. The Honor Squadron is looking for nominations from all of you that know people in this category. So look around, and I'm sure you know someone that should be considered, and please get their nomination to us. At this time, we're going to take a view of a video prepared for this evening's first inductee. And during the video, Ron Hill will tell us some background information on the inductee.
All of you know I'm good at talking, I'm not that good with speeches. I really can't recall when I first met Johnny Schubert. I started racing stock outboard in 1955, and I met John in Cambridge, Maryland on August 12, 1956. Over the next few years, John and I saw each other probably once a year. We raced against each other at Depew several times. Everyone that knew John liked and respected him. He went to work for Lawn Boy Lawnmower Company, a division of OMC, and started driving tunnel boats for Jim Briggs. Part of his job was to teach Jim Briggs' kids, Timmy and Jeff, how to race boats. He was an excellent coach, excellent teacher, and a friend of the Briggs boys. I don't really recall how this happened, but I was at Jim Briggs' house in 1970 and asked me if I would race with him and race for him at the Paris 6 Hours, and did I mind if John Schubert would drive with me. I said, I don't mind John Schubert driving with me. He's a great driver and a great person. John and I ran Paris that year. We ran well, had some steering problem at the end, and John had to go home after the race for business. And Jimbo and I drove the boat the next week, and we won Berlin 6 Hour. John never seemed upset that he didn't win Berlin with his boat. John always has worked hard on his racing equipment and has unselfishly worked for other people's equipment also. The 15A OMC and the 45 SS was built by OMC. The first 45 SS was built by John in his own workshop. John has always shared his secrets freely with West Coast drivers and anybody that actually would ask him. John rebuilds classic outboards. Some of you may have seen my little KG7 out here this week, that green motor. That's the kind of stuff John does. He's still very active in boat racing, tries to promote all the time. It's very hard to evaluate how much a person does for an organization like APBA, but John has been a member, a worker, a racer, and a club official for more than 50 years. In 2007, I decided we needed a boat racers reunion in Depew, Illinois, because everybody knows I'm in management. I put John to work. I did very little, and John did most of it. We ended up giving the title series $1,000. In 2012, John put on another reunion in Depew and also gave the title series $1,000. John has been a winner in stock outboarding, OPC, and Alki racing. He's been a mentor to many people, many young drivers, and he still works tirelessly for boat racing today. Any boat racer in America could call John today and ask for help, and John would help him. Congratulations, John Schubert.
Here you go, John.
Wow, what an honor. I can say a lot of things, and I do have a few things to say, but the day I got notified by Ann that I was an inductee, I'm telling you, I cried. I was at the Y working out, and I got out in my car, and I had an email, and it was from Ann, and I cried. A little bit, another tidbit of that, my current wife was not my wife when I did all the racing stuff. She doesn't understand why I'm so active with APBA and all you members. But there's another side of me too, is the Antique Outboard Motor Club, and she doesn't understand that either. But when I called her to tell her I was being inducted into the Honor Squadron, she said, and I quote, "I'm very proud of you." I need to reflect a bit. About a year ago, I received a letter from Jay Walls, who is in the audience today, and Jay's the current president of the Antique Outboard Motor Club. And at that time, with that letter, I was inducted into what the Antique Outboard Motor Clubs is their lifetime honorary membership, which is the highest level of the Antique Outboard Motor Club, just like the Honor Squadron is for American Powerboat Association. And at that time, when I got that, I was in awe at that time as well. And I said, wouldn't it be nice if I could ultimately get into the Honor Squadron? Well, here I am. And one closing comment, there's another member standing in front up here tonight, that is also a lifetime honorary member of the Antique Albert Motor Club and the Honor Squadron. And I'm in good audience with him, Charlie Strang. Thank you, everyone.
Congratulations, John. Dee Bergerhauer will give us information for the next inductee. Dee?
Good evening. It is with great pleasure and respect that Steve Warnock is inducted into the APBA Honor Squadron. Steve, Warby, as many of us knew him, had boat racing and APBA tattooed to his forehead. He started racing in APBA in 1971 at Beloit, Wisconsin. Ever the competitive driver, Steve was a 5-time APBA national champion in the 25 SS class. He was also national high point champion many years. He won the national championship in 15 SS Hydro and set competition records in the BS Hydro class. Steve, a member of the APBA Hall of Champions, was a UIM APBA World Champion in the 25 SS Hydro class in 1986 and again in 1988. Steve, along with his father Don, Daddy Warbucks, built and designed the Hawk Hydros he raced. These boats were offered in kit forms to other racers. Some people stopped driving and then channeled their energies towards the APBA organization. Steve, however, was able to drive and contribute to APBA and its membership. Steve was vice president of the stock outboard category and a stock outboard commissioner. He was an APBA board of director, council member at large. He served on the APBA promotions committee, APBA insurance committee, and the APBA bylaws committee. Steve coordinated the first joint stock outboard and modified outboard national championships at Wakefield, Michigan in 1992. This has now become a routine joint championship venture for the stock and modified categories. Steve involved himself in selling Region 7 races. He loved to work with groups in order to obtain sponsorships and to conduct races. He was race chairman at endless local races and the Wakefield National Championships. Steve obtained sponsorship for the Beloit, Wisconsin race, the Burlington, Wisconsin races, and many other local sponsorships. He secured a large sponsorship package from Coors area distributors for a 6-race sponsorship, with $8,000 being distributed on a high point system to 25 different drivers. At the region level, Steve helped coordinate diver and driver capsule training. He also served as the Region 7 secretary for over 25 years. Steve was Badger State Commodore and Region 7 secretary at the time of his untimely death. His wife, Darlene, is a scorer at many races, including the Wakefield Nationals. His daughter, Rachel, an AXS Hydro champion in 2005, had him beaming with pride. His son, Michael, is right there with the rest of the family, supporting and participating at APBA races. Steve always had a positive outlook on APBA racing. He not only made races happen, he was just a great guy to be around. Steve wanted all racers to enjoy the races. He was there to help before the races, during the races, and he certainly was there for the parties and companionship after the races. Steve was an enormous asset to the APBA organization and our boat racing family. Congratulations, Steve.
I believe Mark, Wheeler, and Rachel will be up here to accept the award. And Steve's brother and Phil.
Again, I'm Phil Warnock, Steve's brother, and I'm happy to share a couple of memories with you real quick here, so I've been told to be brief. First off, though, on behalf of the entire Warnock family, I want to thank those involved in recognizing Steve's accomplishments and very important to the context of this award, his contributions to this wonderful sport. Steve truly put everything he had into this sport and left an enduring legacy, so thank you all for nominating him and getting this done. Second, I'm very happy that tonight you were able to see a picture of Steve's very first boat, and it was the second slide that went through there. We called it the dresser drawer, okay, for obvious reasons, and I don't know if you saw the three little boys that were in this boat that looked like a dresser drawer for no other reason. So Steve was probably about 14 or 15 at that time, and in building that boat, he unknowingly answered the question the world was dying to know, and Steve's answer was this: yes, you can indeed build a boat out of one piece of plywood. With that boat, it was safe to say that Steve was on his way. Lastly, in looking back, there's no question that Steve's destiny was set before he was born. Genetically speaking, Steve was wired to be a boat racer. And to that, I can point to our dad's racing adventures back in the 40s, or the late 40s and early 50s. But I've come to recently realize that our mother may have played a bigger part in Steve's destiny more than one might believe, because our mother Phyllis was very quiet in her ways. You see, our mom Phyllis in her younger days was known to take a spin in the old A runabout that my dad called Scuttlebutt. So, having said that, I must use the adaptation of the phrase, you know you're a redneck when, okay? In Steve's case, the following could be said: you know you are destined to be a boat racer when, before you were born, your mother takes an A runabout out for a spin on a beautiful Sunday morning in Indiana and gets arrested for disturbing the peace. Now that's destiny. Thank you all.
I have just one story I'd like to add, and it's actually my mother's favorite story about my dad. It's the story of when he first became Commodore of Badger State Outboard. He was taking a job that no one else wanted. It was a tremendous undertaking, as at that point in time, the club was not financially sound. But as the unanimous and resounding ayes passed the position on to him, his thoughts were in a completely different world. He was not thinking of the responsibility that had just landed on his shoulders, but was instead filled with a deep sense of humility. These people who had become such fixtures in his life, his extended family, they were entrusting to him the care of the sport they all held so dear. This precious thing through which our blood, sweat, and adrenaline binds us all. The reality of that notion was somewhat religious for him, and it was with this realization that he pressed forward, acting for the good of the club and the sport. He would eventually bring this to APBA at the national level, serving as commissioner and stock outboard chairman, at times voting against his own interests in favor of stability and safety within the sport. Every time he was elected an officer, be it Commodore, Commissioner, Chairman, he was reminded of this, and he took that quite seriously, that his actions were not for him alone, but for all the faces that he enjoyed seeing summer after summer after summer. It was this dedication that kept him coming to races and serving APBA, even as the diabetes took his legs. Many people don't know, and it was because he didn't really want them to know, but over the past 5-6 years of his life, he began increasingly working from home the days before each race so that he could power through the pain, being on his feet for an entire weekend, serving as Commodore, race director, J-Dad, and competitor without anyone being the wiser. He was dedicated to serving the community, preserving it for future generations, and enriching the sport just as it had so enriched his life. And so on behalf of my family, I again extend thanks for the honor of this celebration of everything that Steve Warnock did for the sport. But on behalf of Steve himself, I extend thanks for the honor of serving this community. Thank you.
I'm about to do something no other APBA president's ever done. In the 40 years of the Hall of Champions, no one has ever deviated from Fred Miller's printed schedule. However, I'm 2 minutes ahead, and goddamn it, I'm going to do it.
As
right?
nearly a
What I'd like to
lifetime
do
member of the
tonight,
American
and what's
Power
coming, Fred, take a look at the screen.
As nearly a lifetime member of the American Powerboat Association, Fred J. Miller has seen and done it all. When the Gulf Marine Hall of Fame became no more, Miller took it solely upon himself to figure out a way to properly honor the drivers of the American Powerboat Association. After several years of planning and coordination, Miller was finally able to figure out a way to award the drivers at the end of the year based on their racing achievements. 40 years later, the APBA Hall of Champions is something that every driver strives to be part of. Pouring his heart and his soul into making the Hall of Champions what it is today, nearly 800 total inductees in 14 different categories have earned the honor of being in the Hall. Miller has been inducted only 3 times into his own creation. In 1977, 78, and 79, Miller was at the top of his game. 40 years of prestige, honor, and recognizing the best. As Fred Miller steps down from his position with the Hall of Champions, we say thank you. Thank you for your passion, for your enthusiasm, and for everything you have done for the sport of powerboat racing.
For those of you who don't know, Fred approached me a year ago and said, I really think number 40 should be my last one. So this is Fred's last Hall of Champions that he'll ever coordinate. It's also significant because next year will be the first one that anybody else ever coordinated. So it's Fred Miller's creation, Fred Miller's love, and we're all better for it. So thank you, Fred.
Thank you, Mark. I think I'm at a loss for words, which is unusual for me. But there's so many stories I could tell you, but in this job, you get to meet the top boat racers in the United States once a year. And they're all here this year for the 40th. And I'm just really honored to know you. I'm honored the way you race and the way you represent us. You're all my friends. I know almost everybody in the room if you're a boat racer. And it's just, I knew this time was coming, that I couldn't get through it. But anyway, let's move on with the program. There's 17 racers here ready to go.
And Fred, the next thing on your instruction sheet for me says to introduce you, I think I've done that, and to turn the program over to you for the evening. So thank you, Fred.
Thank you, Mark. I'd also like to congratulate John Schubert and, of course, the Steve Warnock family for your induction into the APBA Honor Squadron. I've known John for over 50 years. Very deserving, very dedicated to the sport. Steve Warnock lived about 45 miles from me. I raced with him at the same races. We didn't run the same classes, thank goodness, because he won more than I did. But anyway, it was an honor to know him as well. And Edgar Rose winning the Charles Strang Award. Nobody in this country is more, in this sport, is more deserving than Edgar, and what a character he is and was. There was a time when he was an inspector and I would get to inspection and I didn't like him. He was always trying to throw somebody out, and I was usually one of those. But we got through it, and then he hired me in 1985, and I started working for him in '86, and what a character. I mean, I saw both sides of him. We're just seeing the good sides these days, and I'm very honored, Edgar, to have you and call you my friend. Before we start this year's ceremony, I would also like to acknowledge, and I did the other day, acknowledge several women that have helped me with this affair over the years, and I neglected one of the very important people. And I told her her son, that I would recognize her tonight. Her name is Lori Allen. She was the one that stood in back for the last 25 years, greeted the inductee, and sent him up here when we called him. And so, Adam, if you'd tell your mom, thank you very much. Also, before we get started with the Hall, I'd like to recognize some folks. Before the Hall of Champions was created in 1973 and started in actually '74, there was an organization called the Gulf Marine Hall of Fame. The drivers that got in it went to New York City to a hotel on Central Park, and we had a breakfast that started about 9 o'clock in the morning, and we were there till about 11. It was sponsored by Gulf Oil. It wasn't an APBA function. It was their deal. And I was fortunate enough to get in that 2 years, and there's several other fellows here. Their names are, and if you'd stand up and be recognized, please, Jeff Titus, Fred Howenstein, John Schubert, Ron Hill, in addition to myself. Stand up, gentlemen. Thank you. Is there anybody else that we have missed that's in the Hall of Fame, the Gulf Marine Hall of Fame? I just want to make sure I didn't overlook somebody. Okay, thank you. Tonight is the culmination for 17 drivers' outstanding racing year, with their induction into APBA's highest racing honor, the APBA Hall of Champions. This year's group comes from 10 states, with California leading the way with 4. All right, 3 from Indiana. 2 from Washington. 2 from Wisconsin. And 1 each from Michigan, Illinois, Virginia, New York, Florida, and Ohio. This year, we have 4 new inductees, of which 1 is in his 6th year of racing and is a 4th-generation driver. Just think about that, 4th-generation driver. A 2nd driver is getting in who has been racing for 20 years trying to get where I'm standing. Another driver among those 4 has been racing for 25 years and the same thing, trying to get up here. And the 4th driver has been racing for 31 years. And I spent some time with these folks. They are so honored to be here, and they've raced so hard and intelligently to finish and beat their brethren that we're really happy to have them here. You'll meet them shortly. This will be a night that they will never forget. Of the balance of the class for 2013, 4 have made it twice, 4 have made it 3 times, 3 have made it 4 times, 1 has made it 8 times, and hang on to your hat, 1 has made it now an incredible 17 times. At this time, I would ask that all the past inductees, not including this year's inductees, please, to rise and be recognized with a robust round of applause. Stand up, gentlemen and ladies. There they are. As you can see, this very distinguished group will be most pleased to welcome this year's class to join them in APBA's most hallowed hall. And now, ladies and gentlemen, sit back and enjoy this wonderful evening. Let the show begin.
In the 5, Graham Trucking is going to win it for hometown sponsor Rob Graham.
For the first time in 2 decades, David Rankin from Hacienda Heights, California earned his way back into the APBA Hall of Champions. With Rankin at the helm of the GN44 Ecology Racing Special, he was able to win a majority of his Grand National races he participated in. Along with owner Darren Susamian from Hacienda Heights, California, won a High Point Championship with their best 8 races, totaling 770 points, and earned his 3rd Hall of Champions induction overall.
It's neat. It's obviously all new faces, but you know, it's good being back. To earn the spot to get here, it was a lot harder.
What did you have to do to get here? How hard was it? What did you have to win? What was the season like for you?
The season was pretty tough. We have a couple of pretty fast boats. The season before we almost made it, and this season we got it. You know, so it was like I said, it was always real tough. It wasn't ever locked up. So,
is there one win or one race that you participated in this year that you're more proud of or stands out in your mind than others?
Oh, when you get to be 60, you look for the next one. The next one will be the best. You know, just thank everybody that got me here. I mean, it actually, you know, in inboard endurance, the driving's the easy part. You know, it's the boat preparation and everything that gets you here. So I drove for a pretty good team this year. So.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Mr. Dave Rankin.
It's a real honor to be here. It's undescribable, but considering the people that were inducted with me this year, it's an honest honor. I'd like to thank the APB Hall of Champions for this great event. I know that Fred puts in a lot of work in this, and I truly appreciate it. I'd like to thank the sponsors for our boat this year. Ecology Auto Parts, B&B Pallet, Richard Lee from Lee Performance, C&J Engineering, Precision Engine Development, and Volvo. The preparation that Darren's put into this boat is shown from the standpoint that it's usually the first one off the beach, not because of me, because it starts every time you hit the button, and it finishes every race. It's a great honor and a privilege to be able to drive for him. I'd also like to thank, well, I'm on my own now. I'd like to thank my family, my wife Dee, my son Corey that are here. I rarely, when I'm up here, I thank her, and I'm going to do it now. Darren's parents, Chuck and Debbie, they've been a great help, and it's all like we're one big family. You know, it's without the other part of my paper, I'm sure I'm going to forget somebody else. But if bear with me a minute, and I'll. I know I have a very close friend of mine. It's really, really short, and I'd be really remiss if I didn't thank Gordon. He's been a great friend of mine for longer than I'd care to mention right now, but we give each other a reasonable amount of pain, and that was my shot back at him. I guess the other thing is that in my racing career, you know, you get to, I know almost everybody in this room, and I really feel very close and have a personal connection with everybody here, and thank you.
In just his 6th year of racing, 15-year-old Austin Price from Haymarket, Virginia, has made his first trip to the Hall of Champions. Running in all 4 junior classes, Price found most of his success in junior runabout. Winning the J Runabout National and High Point Championship led to Price earning 7,140 total points and collecting the Pop Trollian Award. His 23 J Hydro races, including a win at the Southeast Divisional Championship, earned him 9,025 total points and the Don Allen Sr. Award.
I'm pretty excited. It's been hard to get it. I came pretty close last year, but I guess it feels even better getting it. But it feels really good, yeah. My record at Dayton and J Runabout, that one was pretty exciting. It was actually the first heat I went out, and I got a really good start, and yeah, it was just the boat was running good, and everything kind of worked out. I won 3 nationals in a row, so hopefully get another one. We did a lot of actual testing this year from the nationals, and then we did a lot of testing for Dayton, the records, and then we did a lot of testing for the straightaway records too, the kilos. But yeah, we did a lot more testing and a lot more races than usual this year.
Please welcome Mr. Austin Price. Come on up, Austin. Congratulations.
Well, I'm going to start out thanking the bagpipes for some entertainment while I was waiting. First and foremost, I want to thank God, because without him, none of this would be possible. I would like to thank all my racing family and friends that have helped me over the years. First to the Shaw family and the Shane family, thank you guys for helping me and supporting me at our local inboard races. I also want to thank the Jennings family for always helping me and supporting my family, and to the Nichols family for their support for showing me how to be a better racer. I also want to thank the Pond family for always being there for me and being like a second family. I want to next thank the main individual people who have helped me over the years. Howie Nichols, Jerry Davids, Greg Lyons, and Matt D'Agostino for teaching me a lot about racing and for always being there if I need help. I want to next thank Lisa Jennings and Ann Shaw for their guidance and just overall helped me receive this great honor this year. Over the years, there have been two people that have helped me, that have been closest to my family and me and most instrumental to my success. First, thanks to Gary Pond for teaching me and always being there for me and my family. He was the first person I was introduced to when I started racing 6 years ago, and I'm glad I met him. The second person is George Stillwell. I want to thank Mr. Stillwell for building and rebuilding my championship-winning and record-setting motors year after year, especially this year. This year he rebuilt my motor four times, from the Nationals at Whitney Point to breaking a record at Dayton to setting 4 straightaway records at New Martinsville. I would like to thank my friends and fellow competitors, to Wayne and Devin Adams for being like brothers to me, to Becky Nichols for being a great competitor and making me a better racer. She has been like a sister to me. Thanks to the Pavick and Hearn families for being great competition over the years and for making work harder and making me a better racer. Finally, and most importantly, I would like to thank my family. First, I want to thank my aunts, uncles, cousins, and especially my grandmas for always being there for me and supporting me. I next want to thank my brothers, to Dylan and Brady, for always supporting me and not complaining about being in the background. I also want to thank Brady for his help at the races. I want to next thank my oldest brother, Tyler, who has pretty much been my hardest competition this year. And I'll never forget, I would always tell him that he never beat me or even come close to beat me. But his first race at Tabor City, he proved me wrong. You could say he smoked me, but I made sure it didn't happen again because I stole his boat and motor and went on to win the Nationals and break 2 records with his runabout equipment. I really didn't steal it. He selflessly and willingly offered it to me because that's the type of person he is, and I can't thank him enough for that. And I also want to say to him that I'm sorry for all the hell I put him through, and I'm so blessed to have a brother like him. I next want to thank my grandpa, George Price, for teaching me and guiding me and making me a better racer and, more importantly, a better person. I also want to thank him for all the time he puts into building and repairing my equipment, and I'm so grateful to have a grandpa like him. Finally, I want to thank my dad and mom at the same time because they're both equally the most important people in my life, and I couldn't thank one before the other. I want to first thank them for raising me and teaching me everything I know and always being there for me when I needed them. I want to thank them for all their effort and money they put into the racing and my other sports. And I want to take a minute to tell them how much I love them for supporting me and everything in my life. And I'm so blessed to have the greatest parents in the world. I'm really honored to be standing up here. It has taken a lot of work and dedication and sacrifice, but receiving this honor has made it all worth it. Thank you.
Following in his father's footsteps, 12-year-old Jared Pavick from Oswego, Illinois, is making his second Hall of Champions appearance. After a disappointing 2012 season with no race wins, Pavick burst onto the scene again in 2013, winning 17 of 19 races, including a J Hydro Central Division Championship, a J Hydro North American Championship, a J Hydro National Championship, and a J Hydro High Point Championship. In just his 4th year of racing, we have yet to see the best of Jared Pavick.
It's very exciting. Feels really good.
How hard have you had to work? How hard did you work this season to get back in?
We've tested a lot, like all throughout the summer. We tested 12 weekends in a row, and all throughout the summer we were just working hard, like tearing down motor and boat and stuff and putting parts back and everything.
What race are you most proud of that you won this past season?
Probably Nationals.
Nationals. How hard did you have to work to win a national championship this year?
Testing all the time.
What is it that you enjoy so much about boat racing?
Really just everything. Probably like being together with friends all the time.
What are you looking forward to most next season?
Racing and trying to win.
Are you going to try to come back to the Hall of Champions again next year?
Yes.
What do you think you're going to have to do next season to get back here?
Test harder.
Come on up, Jared Pavick.
Thank you, Fred. It's very good to see you again. 2013 was a very fun year. I didn't win one race in 2012, so after the season was over, we decided we needed to do a lot more work for 2013. We tested every weekend and for 12 weekends in a row. I was either in a boat racing or testing. Throughout the whole summer, we were constantly working on motors and tweaking my boat. All the hard work really paid off. After winning 0 races in 2012, we won 17 out of 19 races in 2013. I enjoyed the whole racing, but definitely had a few favorites. Number 1 was probably the Nationals. The racing was really awesome, but we also had the flood. It was very cool to see all the racers work together to save the boats and trailers from the rising water. I'll never forget that. It was also a very fun year of unexpected things and races. For most of the summer, we weren't planning on going to Nationals. My brothers and I tried for months to convince my dad to go. It wasn't until a few weeks before Nationals that he said yes. On my way to the race, we lost our rear shocks in the muffler. Man, did the floor get hot. We didn't stop to fix anything because we had to get to the Nationals first. Dayton was also unexpected. My dad and brother were racing in Wisconsin on Saturday while I was at my football game. After Austin set a record, they drove back home to pick me up, and we went out to Dayton. We finally got there around 2 a.m. We didn't set a record, but we had a blast, and we said we'd rather go for it than sit back and wait. West Virginia was completely unexpected and one of my favorite parts of the year. The last race of the year, my dad, Mikey, the Allens, and Ed were half joking about going for quarter-mile records in West Virginia. By Tuesday night, we decided to go, and then on Thursday, we set off on the long journey. We ended up having boats from 5 different states to try to set records. We stopped in Indiana, Michigan, and Ohio to pick everything up. In the end, the team set 7 records that weekend. It was awesome, and more than anything, it showed how dedicated and maybe a bit crazy our team is. Thank you, Mom, for always being there for support and taking me from football to all the races. Thank you, Dad, for everything. Without you, I have nothing. You're constantly working on my stuff, supporting me, paying for my equipment, and building boats. You're the only reason I can race, and you even stopped racing to help me and my brother race. You're the best dad ever, and I could not have done this without you. Help. Thank you, Mikey, for working on my stuff more than I did. Thank you, Will, for his help. He tested J Hydro last summer. He plans to race this year. Thank you, Ben, for being the best J Hydro boat owner in the world. Thank you, my grandparents, who always cheer me on. Thank you, Joe Payer, for finding a way to help me out. Thank you, Kelly Pater, for taking care of us at the races. Thank you, Big Don, for always being supportive of me. Thanks especially for the Hall of Champions spreadsheet that you stole from Donnie. Thank you, Donnie, for teaching me things that my mom would disapprove of. Also thanks to my Uncle Bill, Dude, Shep, the Olsons, and Jeff. 2013 was a great race season, but I'm already looking forward to racing AX, watching Will race J, Mikey race 20 Hydro in 2014. Thank you, have a great night.
In a 2-decade-long racing career, Robbie Devine from Costa Mesa, California, is making his first appearance in the APBA Hall of Champions. In a season filled with flat-bottom inboard racing, it was Devine's Superstock resume that earned him the Hall of Champions induction. In his best 15 Superstock races, Devine and owner Tom Buckles from Corona, California, won a Western Divisional Championship, a National Championship, and a High Point title, earning 2,813 total points.
Oh, it's an amazing season. We started the season trying to shake down a new boat in Superstock, so the owner decided, hey, let's try Pro Stock, get you some more seat time. And I'm going to bring my K-boat out. It was a lot of fun. We got the seat time, we got the points, And the K-boat ran just enough heats to get the high points. The team is phenomenal. When you have a group of people with that much experience, and you've got all those folks working so hard to put it together, it worked out that we were able to get 3 high points championships this year. It's a lot of work. Personally, running 3 classes, there's 2 different boats. Keeping myself physically fit for the whole season. I think I counted I ran 41 heats this year. So it was a lot of work. There's some days, you know, you had to go to bed early, wake up early, get your rest, eat right, and keep your head on. You know, the rest of the crew's out having beers and what have you, and as a driver, you can't do that. It was a lot of work. I had to keep my focus anyways. We had a good time in Burley this year. We ran the boats. They had a heat when I was racing against Charlie, the super stock race, and Charlie had the lead. Going into the last lap, he was in front of me at that start-finish line, but we went down around the south turn, or the north turn there, went down behind the back of the island, and I was able to overcome him and come out from behind the island ahead of him and get the checkered in front of him. He gave me a hats off. I couldn't believe we got it. It was just a great driving experience, but the equipment I was in, it all worked out, and to be able to beat a guy that good in a race that's that hard and it's so competitive, I'll never forget that, as long as I live. Well, I think we're going to back off. It was a lot of work for the whole team. We're going to keep the K-boat at home. We might bring it out for a couple of races to have some fun, promote the class a little bit, and then spectatorship. But mostly go for super stock and pro stock points and see if we can do it all again. I'm just one piece of the puzzle when it comes to winning a championship. It's a team effort. You got to have a great owner. You've got to have a great team. You've got a lot of experience in it with the owner and his friends, his team. That's what it takes. It's a lot of pieces of the puzzle that goes together to actually win a championship. So I'm very humbled to be in this position, but I'm just one person of the whole team. So anyway, I'd like to thank them all for their help, because I wouldn't be here without them.
Please welcome Mr. Robbie Devine. Come on up, Robbie.
Put me in a race, but I'm not nervous. Up here, I'm a little nervous. Thank you. Let's see. In the 3rd grade, I had a school teacher that asked all the kids in the class what they wanted to be when they grew up. And there were going to be a lot of firemen, policemen, astronauts, and doctors. When she got to me, I said, boat racer. So here I am. Dreams do come true. First, I'd like to thank the APBA for this honor, for keeping the competition fair and trying to keep competitors safe. This is an amazing honor. I humbly accept, knowing that this year's accomplishments were a full team effort, headed by team owners Tom and Janice Buckles, the Bucks Up race team. Tom, thank you for the opportunity to drive your equipment. It's the best equipment that's ever existed. I also need to thank Dave Rankin. His knowledge is second to none when it comes to hull design and boat setup. I also need to thank the greatest driver of all time, Gordon Jennings.
He's now our motor builder, and he put the FOF power in the boats. It would mentor me with driving tips you can only get from such a great coach. I need to thank our crew chief, Kevin Bill. It was a very busy schedule for me, and running 3 different classes every race day, but I always knew Kevin had my back. He'd done everything possible to make sure that the boats were ready when I took the water. Another thank you goes to John Avery. John brings a tune-up that gives you a chance to win every heat. I've been racing in the APBA for 20 years, and this is definitely the highlight of my career. Thank you.
Another year, another trip to the Hall of Champions for the 1-liter inboard driver Dan Canfo. Canfo from Grand Island, New York, is making his 8th trip to the APBA Hall of Champions in 9 years. Along with Farmington Hills, Michigan owner Jim Seckler, Canfo led the Y1 Fast Eddie 2 to a 112.2 mile per hour quarter-mile straightaway record, a 98.549 mile per hour 5-mile 3-lap record, a Western Divisional Championship, and a National Championship. Canfo won every heat he ran in 2013, earning 3,100 total points and his 9th straight 1-liter high point championship.
Oh, it's fantastic. It's such an honor. I mean, the people that get in, I look at the names and I look at the people that are getting in every year. It's fantastic to be associated with those people. The boat I drive, Jim Seckler's boat, Fast Eddie 2, that thing was on a rail this year. We actually won every heat. I don't want to say it was easy, but Jim did a lot of work over the winter, and the boat was just fast. Jim is, first of all, one of the smartest people I know. Very detail-oriented. He's also the biggest worrywart I know. I can tell you that we're already talking about our schedule this year. We've already talked about all the competition, who we think is going to really step it up, how we're going to deal with those people, what races we think we need to go to, so we make sure we match up with them. We don't want to avoid our competition. We want to try to beat them. And he starts worrying about that stuff in January. Yep, this coming season will be my last season.
So what are you looking forward to? You're going to obviously make the most of it. What are you hoping for? What are you going to try to shoot for?
We do have some goals. We've won 9 consecutive high points championships. Sure would be neat to go out at 10. And we have another goal. We own the mile and 2/3 record at 98.5 mile an hour. I would love to be the first Y boat to run over 100 mile an hour. It's been a great driving career. I've made so many friends. It's going to be bittersweet at the end of the year when I hang them up. It doesn't mean you're not going to see me at races, but I may be sitting on the beach at Waterford drinking a beer watching as opposed to sweating it out in the pits. Thank you, everybody. It's been great.
Please welcome Mr. Dan Canfo.
I feel like I should be doing river dance or something up here with the music. Last year, if people were here last year, they remember that 10 minutes before I came up here, I got a call from my sister informing me that my mom and dad were in a motorcycle accident. My mom went for a 50-mile helicopter ride to a trauma center. I'm happy to report she's 100% fine, and I'm also happy to report I left my phone up in my room this year. So, anyway. As some of you probably recall in past years, I made sure I took some good-natured jabs at Steve David. I would talk about him being so old, and he would come back about how short I am. Well, Steve isn't here. The old fart has been put out to pasture. Time to pick on Jimmy. This year saw a turning of the guard in H1 Unlimited with a young Jimmy Shane taking not only Steve's championship, but apparently now his ride. I've known Jimmy since he was about 14 years old. My favorite Jimmy memory would be the time that his parents, Robin and Stu, left a young Jimmy with me, Mike Monahan, and Bert Henderson at a race one night. Probably not one of their best parenting decisions. What were you thinking? The laws are a lot different in Valleyfield, Quebec, and with the metric age conversion, and most likely a few beers, we thought it would be a good idea to take him to a strip club. Jimmy seemed to enjoy himself a lot. So we considered the night a success. I have written here, you'll have to ask him for any specifics. His brother-in-law felt I should give the specifics. I'm not going to give the specifics, Bianca. Talk to Jimmy afterwards. Anyway, it's Jim Seckler's 1 liter modified, the Fast 72, that puts me up here again. I wish every driver in this room had a chance to drive that boat. It's unbelievable. It isn't necessarily as easy to drive as it looks. It occasionally wants to bite back and it keeps you busy, but it is fun. I think it's crazy. It was a pretty good year. I didn't flip, which is pretty surprising as I'm historically on the every other year program. And it's been a few years since my last one. I came very close to the quarter miles in Martinsville this year. As I just finished a pass, I got lucky. I've done time trials now 3 different weekends, and if I never do one again, that's fine by me. I don't like those things. Jim's put together a really dominant race program that has seen us win 9 straight U.S. High Point Championships and set 18 records. You don't do that by luck. You do that by having the best driver. Kidding. You do that by working very, very hard, and no one in our class works as hard as Jim on his program, and equally important, and I don't know that a lot of people know this, he works extremely hard on other people's programs. I think the people in the class know it, but a lot of people don't recognize how hard he works for the class. He's been a great friend over the years. I can't thank him enough for everything he has done for me. I especially wanted to thank him for something he did this year that was kind of really cool. In inboard, when you win a High Points Championship, they give you a ring. This year, we got a ring, and he gave it to my son, Eddie, and I think that's pretty cool. I talked to him today. I sent him a picture of it. He's not here, and he's really excited. And that's really cool, Jim. Thank you. I also want to mention our crew guy, Tim Collins. He's been with us from the beginning. Tim's a super important part of our team. Not only does he tow the boat all over the country, prep the boat, put everything away at the end of the day, the most important thing he does is he carries me out to the boat when there's no docks. I don't like getting wet. So, very important. Thank you, Timmy. Of course, my wife. She's not here, and I'm sure she's sleeping now since they're 3 hours ahead of us, but thank you, Lynn, very much. This year, we did see a good friend and competitor decide to sell his boat. Well, Sean Bowser can be over the top sometimes, and those of you who know him know what I'm talking about. He's a good guy, and we're going to miss him, miss seeing him every weekend. But Sean, can I finally have my generator back? I do want to let everybody know that this coming season is going to be Jim and I's last year running the boat. I've been racing for 23 years, and it just kind of feels like it's the right time. It's not that I don't like the racing. I still love the racing, but it's the driving all over the country that's starting to be a bit much, and I'm doing more and more travel with my job that, Jim, that would be the job that actually pays me. So this will be our last year coming up. But before I get put out to pasture like Steve David, we do have a couple more goals for this year. We're going to shoot for a 10th consecutive championship, and I'd love to be the first Y boat to run over 100 miles an hour in 1 2/3 miles. I don't know if we can do it, but we're sure going to try. I may not be up here next year. You know, who knows what's going to happen. There's a lot of great people in our class. So I want to just take a second to thank everybody that's helped me along the way. A lot of friends. I look around and I just see a lot of great friends. And I'm certainly going to miss seeing everybody every weekend, but there's a lot of weekends you will see me just hanging out on the beach, drinking beer, watching you. One thing I want everybody to remember, that sanction and rules are not APBA. We are APBA. You know, sometimes we go through this weekend and people get a little upset and we don't like what other people did, but at the end of the day, we are all APBA. And the other thing I did want to mention, I scribbled it on here at the very end, Fred Miller, thank you. You know, it's an honor being up here. I appreciate it. You know, some people think, oh, you've been up there 8 times. It's awesome. And I remember, you never forget the first time. Fred always tells that to the new guys, and I tell them, I try to go up and shake their hands. The first time's the best one. I remember the first time. I remember hearing from Fred the first time. Congratulations, congratulations. And then, don't go over 3 minutes. Boy, he drives that in. But anyway, thank you very much, and congratulations, Fred.
On the silver anniversary of his racing career, Charlie Markard from Puyallup, Washington, received a number of different gifts, including his first induction into the APBA Hall of Champions. Markard piloted K150 Tribal Thunder to a Western Divisional, a Region 10K Racing Runabout Championship, and a National Championship. However, the highlight of Markard's racing season came when his daughter Kara raced for the first time over Father's Day weekend and when his son Trey raced for the first time in September.
You have been racing for 25 years.
Yes,
This is
sir.
your first trip into the Hall of Champions.
It is.
How does it feel to be here?
Yeah, it feels good, you know. I feel a little relieved, quite proud at the same time, you know. You know, your friends, they work so hard. They put a lot of expectations of what they'd like to see you accomplish, and it's a great accomplishment for everybody that's involved in what we do. So in our program, it's been a lot of fun.
How hard have you had to work to get here?
Yeah, I don't really call it work, you know. Boat racing's always been a hobby. You know, I've never got paid to do it, and I do it because I love working on boats. I love driving them. I find it hard to pay for it sometimes, and thanks to a lot of great friends that gave me opportunities to do what I love to do. So it's just absolutely a blast. It's not work at all.
What are you going to take away most from this season?
You know, I think the surprise to come out of the Western Divisionals in Parker, you know, we had a real dominating weekend. That was really unexpected. You know, I didn't expect to go down there and run so well, and that was really awesome. But you know, setting the record at Black Lake was really a great feeling also. So I don't want to take anything away from that. You know, you know, there's some records that I'm interested in maybe getting an opportunity to run on. You know, we're working towards that, and but really, I'm focusing next year on my kids' program. They're both going to start racing. My daughter started racing Jay this year, and my son's going to pick up and run the full season this year also. So I've been really working on that program this winter, and me and my wife are really excited about that. So yeah, I just really want to thank all my friends and family, and Sid Reynolds, Brian Weir, and thank them a lot for the opportunity.
Please welcome Mr. Charlie Markard. Come on up, Charlie.
All right, Fred, here we go. Well, welcome everybody. And boy, do I feel welcome. Thank you for that. You know, this racing's been it's been a great journey in my life, I'll tell you that. 25 years, I've worked on some of the best boats with some of the greatest people, and we've had some awesome equipment, but nothing like the equipment we've had this past few years that's got us up here. I'm going to kind of keep it to a whole lot of thank yous because I'm shaking pretty good. I wish if I was like this driving a boat, I'd probably never climb in one. So anyway, I'm going to start off with my beautiful wife, Bonnie. Thank you. My daughter, Kiara. And I have an older daughter, Alana and Trey, that aren't with us tonight, but they've always been really supportive. And my longest boat racing family, Jeff and Gil. Their kids grew up at the boat races. Jeff went on to be a Hall of Champion racer. And all the great things, all the success I've had, he's always been a part of it, and I thank you guys for that. Randy and Cheryl DeBaugh, raced with him with Dick Bement for years, and he's a big part of Sid's program this year, and I appreciate their help. My old neighbor, Pat. It's funny how you meet people in racing, your neighbors that you have when you're like 20 years old, you buy your first house, and here you are 25 years later, and your neighbor is still racing with you. That's to say something for our sport and what we do. And thank you, Pat. You're a great friend. And where am I? Dave Payton. Dave Payton come on from Other Ventures, hooked up with Jeff, and he's teamed up with us these last 4 years and has been a great help. Thank you very much, Dave. And Jerry Yoder. You know, Jerry Yoder has been around a long time. He started out with a guy that my dad actually sold a boat to. And I always thought Jerry didn't like me much because my dad was kind of a shiesty guy in his days of racing, you know. And when I started racing for Sid and got to know Jerry, it's been an absolute pleasure. You know, he's done so much for us through the years with Sunset Chevrolet. I can't tell how many dinners I've had on Sunday night with those $50 checks and cash money he would give us at the race for all those years, and we thank you so much for that, Jerry. Jeff Shank, he helped us a lot this year. He shows up at the races. He's always willing to get wet and do the things that needs to be done that a lot of other people don't want to do. And my buddy Lance Faulkner, he kind of changed my career and showed me really what to look for to understand my boats and make them better than what they were. And I'll never forget that friendship I had with him. His brother-in-law, Gordon, always gave me advice and always came with some shit-ass remark. But I've grown to love the guy, and I really want to thank you for that help with my golf swing today, buddy. Well, you're in trouble now. And scores and people that set up courses and they do things, you know. Pat Yarno had, you know, I've always been that guy that shows up the races. I haven't joined APBA yet. I don't have my cards. I don't have, you know, I always had something screwed up. And Pat and Carol Dodge, those ladies there in Region 10, they've never gave me a hard time. They've always supported me and got me the right stuff I needed to get on the water, and I thank you, ladies, for that. And Russ Dodge for some awesome race courses through the years, record courses, and, you know, just your constant, the things they do, it's just amazing how many years and the kind of time those people spent, and I just can't appreciate them enough. And, you know, other owners that have helped me, Dick and Gabe Ament, had a great relationship with a great family there. And Jerry Dugan gave me an opportunity. I started out with a new boat. I wrecked it in my 9th race, spent a few weeks in the hospital. This guy gives me a boat, and that's where my career really started, with a nice revenge, with a good motor program, and I started winning races early in my career with that combination. And then I went on to drive with Jim Codling and Jeff Gibson and Jerry Dugan, also in a pro stock boat. We had a lot of fun for a lot of years. It's awesome to see Pam Billwalk in the audience tonight. Thanks for coming, Pam. It's great. And the Foxes, I am just so honored. Thank you. And okay, we'll get on to some business people that helped me out. I'll make it quick. I want to thank the LaPointe family with SRP. I want to thank Phil and Brian Bergeron for all their help for many years. You know, I don't buy a lot of stuff from Phil and Brian because I don't have money. I make a lot of the parts, but I know Sid really supports Phil. But you know, whenever I call Phil and Brian and I need something, they always send it to me, and we worry about the money later, and I really appreciate their support. And John Avery, same deal. He's been there. He always calls us up to see how we're doing. And you know, you hear these same names and all these people. These are the same guys that are helping all these teams compete against each other and be successful. And that's the kind of people they are. And thank you a lot. My brother-in-law, Wicked Fabrication, and all my boats have been run through Buyers Custom and Restoration one time or another. I've worked for the guy. I worked for the guy for 12 years. I don't work there anymore. I still have a key. We just painted my daughter's boat there last Friday, and he's just been an awesome friend. I thank him so much. Gus Foster does all the engine work in the K-boat. Brian Weir, we've been together for 10 years working on it. I could kill him. I can kill him, but he's an awesome friend. He'll do anything for our program. And without him, I would have never got to shoe a K-boat, and I really appreciate it. And Paul Fitzgerald, man, he's just been wonderful in our super stock program, and I couldn't be happier. You know, Sid bought a boat that had a Fitzgerald engine in it, and Sid took that motor apart with his motor builder and was really impressed with it. And when Paul got on board, it really turned our program around. And I really thank you, Sid, for that awesome decision, and I thank Paul for some great power plants. And of course, Sid and Sandy, stand up. You guys are awesome. Couldn't have done it without you. And for my friends that I didn't notice, I love all you guys, and I love everybody that puts these races on, the race committees all over the country, the scores, and I mean, I've been a Commodore of Seattle Dragon Ski, but I didn't do anything. I just kind of sat back and let people tell me what I should be doing, and it blows me away. You know, I got to see up front at what it really takes to put on races those 2 years I did that, and it blows me away the kind of time that people spend promoting the us to do what we love to do. Thank you very much.
In a career that spans 3 decades and many high point and national championships, Mike Thurby from Interlochen, Michigan is making his first trip to the APBA Hall of Champions. After a wonderful performance at the Pro Nationals in Kingston, Tennessee, Thurby was able to put away the competition and win 2 national championships, one in 500 runabout and another with the help of his wife Julia as deck rider in 1100 runabout.
You've been racing for 30 years. This is your first induction into the Hall of Champions. How are you feeling?
Pretty overwhelmed. My brother, he's been inducted like back in '89, and then through the '90s he got inducted, and when the first time he ever did it, he said, that's what I want to try and do. So we put together 8 million outfits for me, and I tried and tried and tried, and then he won again, and then he won again, and then my nephew got involved, and he started racing, and he won it. It's like, can I ever pull this thing off, you know? But finally I've done it, and it's just one big honor. It's unbelievable, actually. It's been a rough road at times, but the thing that I love about boat racing most of anything is the people. And between stock car racing, because we race every single weekend, and I was involved in the stock car, we race karts, plus boats. So in the summertime, every weekend we're racing something, but I kind of got out of the stock car stuff, kind of got out of the go-kart stuff. The main reason's just the people. It's, you go to a stock car race or you're telling people, you know, boat racing, we say, hey, my boat racing family, or you never say that in the kart and the stock car stuff.
This season, is there one win that you're more proud of than others?
At the Nationals, running the 2-man runabout, and I got to go head-to-head with J.W. Myers, and knowing what Jay has done, and I have a lot of respect for him, and to actually get to beat him on the race course was just quite the honor. That was really neat. My family's been so supportive of it, that's unreal. My mom and dad eat, sleep, and drink boat racing 24/7, have since back in the 50s. And without them and my brothers and sisters helping me out, I would not be sitting in this chair where I am now.
Welcome, Mike Thurby, his first time in 31 years.
Well, the big deal is with APBA and Fred, I thank you very much for this honor. My brothers won it, my nephews won it, and I've came so close so many times and just never could quietly put it together. And it is a very big honor. People I want to definitely thank is, of course, my mom and dad. And with my mom and dad, their deal is ever since I was a little kid, and I knew it before I even got in a race boat, we have 2 rules for racing. One is, you better be a gentleman on the race course. You ever think about cutting somebody off on purpose to win, you're out. Second rule is, did you have fun? And it's like, yeah, I had fun, all right? Let's pack it up and we'll do it again and again. I got a lot of good people on my race team for sure, and so does everybody else that's here. But Gary Buskirk, Tony Walk, Russ Wright, Derek Gessler, those guys are the ones that should be standing here and not me, because they do this all. And they're more than happy to join in and give me a hand and do whatever it takes, stay up all night, either drinking beer or working on motors, one or the other, but they're there for me all the time. And then the last one that I'd have on my list of people really to thank, I know I've probably missed a lot, but my buddy Buzzy, he hooked me up with a girl on a blind date. So I go to this blind date and I meet her, and she's pretty cool. Doesn't have any background in boat racing whatsoever. But 2008, I got her to go to a couple races and stuff, and then
A little while down the road, she's in the boat shop with me because that's, you know, where we always are. Pretty soon I got her sandblasting pistons and molly coating and ceramic coating, tearing engines apart, helped me put motors back together. And she's really the great big backbone of everything that I do. Note-taking, making sure that things are handled. And without her doing all that, I don't know how I ever could be up here. And then the last thing that I'd have, I know Fred said you gotta be 3 minutes. And it's like, sorry, Fred, it's not gonna happen. But the last thing is, you know, I did go-kart racing, raced myself, had my nephews racing that. My brother raced cars, so I used to go every weekend. So in the summertime, we were racing every single weekend, something. Something was on dirt or something was in the water. But the difference is pretty soon I kind of bled out of the stock car stuff and helping out, and then I kind of got out of the go-kart stuff. And the reason why is because of the people here. You go a boat race, that is your family. And you can always say, well, my boat racing family. I never said that about my kart family or stock car family. But the big trick is, too, that I think everybody in this room needs to do, invite somebody to our family. Bring them to a boat race. Make them pit for you. Give them a free beer. But, you know, make sure they're there because they're the ones that we need to get in the boat. As far as going from division to division, taking one from the other, yeah, whatever, it's cool, it's fun to do it too, but we need outside blood. And the outside blood's what's gonna keep this thing going, which is just unbelievable. I just can't imagine doing anything other than what I'm doing. So I just wanna thank everybody here very much. Have a good night.
Just hitting the prime of his career, Jay Walls Jr. from Danville, Indiana is back in the APBA Hall of Champions for the 3rd straight year. This year, Walls cleaned up in the Pro NT classes. Walls marched his way through divisionals, winning the Eastern Divisional C Service Hydro, C Service Runabout, and the C Racing Runabout Championship. At the Pro Nationals in Kingston, Tennessee, Walls won an astounding 4 national championships. He won the C Service Hydro, C Service Runabout, C Racing Hydro, and the C Racing Runabout Championships, becoming the first driver ever to win all 4 NT Class National Championships in one season. Walls continued to show his dominance all season by earning 3 High Point Championships, accumulating 12,382 total points, and the Colonel Green Round Hill Trophy.
It is. I don't know. You can't. It's hard to describe the feeling. When you do it once, that's the whole dream come true there. But you know, when you do it again, it's like, in a third time, you think if you'd have told me this when I started racing, I'd have said, "What's?" Well, if you'd have told me this when I started racing, I'd have said, well, "What's the Hall of Champions?" And then. Well, now we got a good idea what it is now, but no, it's an amazing thing. We never thought we'd have got 3 in a row. So, but again, it's hard to explain really. I guess the thing that makes me most excited would be winning being the first to win all 4 of the antique classes at the Pro Nationals. That was we weren't too sure. If anyone had ever done it before. We knew that it had been done before with 3 nationals. That'd been done a bunch, but to win all 4, that's probably the most. That's the drive that keeps us racing, keeps us going. Well, like I said, you know, this year racing and testing, we burnt the same motor up twice, so we had to rebuild that thing twice, and you know, it's just I'm constantly thinking about starts. I'm constantly thinking about where to be at to hit the start and hitting marks to go. Just be in the right place at the right time. That makes the biggest difference in winning races. So it's a constant thought process that you always go through to be there at the right time.
And 3 times in a row, you're going to shoot for 4?
Oh yeah, oh yeah. There's no doubt. Yeah, no doubt about it. We're going to try and go you know, for as many years as we can go, I would think. But you know, yeah, like I said, after winning the first one, I realized you got to set bigger goals to get to reach small. You have to set big goals, and in doing that, there's smaller things that have to happen. So you got to go. You have to do things like win heat races, hit starts, win divisionals, go for a nationals, and then just gain all those points up to get here. So that's my goal, is to be in the Hall. But in order to do that, I know I have to win a bunch. So this is the first year for winning all 4 national championships. Last year, when we won the last 3 nationals for our classes in a row, and then we won the 4 this year. So we have 7 nationals in a row, and it's an odd number, and we like to make it an even. So we're going to try and go for 8 national championships in a row, and hopefully keep adding on, make it 12 or 20, who knows. So that's the plan.
Please welcome Mr. Jay Walls, Jr.
Well, Fred, you put enough stress on us. Well, we have enough stress on us as a driver, and now you got to make us do this stuff. Well, to start off with, I completely agree with Mikey on what he was saying. We got to get people in this. So this is, you know, welcome family. We're all here, biggest family reunion we got. I guess our biggest race last year was the Pro Nationals. In 2011, we won our first national championship in CE Racing Runabout, and that was like, finally, we got one. All right, here we go. And next 2012, we got lucky enough where things happened. We found some speed, and we ended up getting 3 national championships, and it was the last 3 antique races in a row. And then here we go to Kingston. And we don't know what to expect. It's new course, new props, new everything. So anyway, we go there, 2 days of testing. Everything runs good. We find some speed, and we get first heat, C Racing Hydro. We got that one. So there's one in the bag. That was tough enough. And then the next heat, C Service Runabout, and Jim Nielsen and I go back and forth in that class. That and C Service Hydro, it's just, if we're not deck to deck, he's way out front and I'm catching him, or if I'm way out front, he passes me. And but anyway, we finally found some speed, and we had fun out there, you know. And anyway, we ended up getting the 2 C Service Runabout and Hydro classes. And then C Racing Runabout come in, and again, new prop, new course. It just, everything came together great. And also at the Pro Nationals, me, one of our pit guys, Steve Blair, and girlfriend at the time, yeah, she didn't like boat racing, so. No, but you know how it works. So anyway, we drove from Kingston, Tennessee, which is about like a 7-hour drive from our house, back home. And one night, I think we left at 11 o'clock p.m. And we went back home, loaded up the 350 Hydro, the Koenig. I've run it before, tested it. It was awesome, so why not race it? So went back home, spent exactly 22 minutes loading it up, motor, everything for it. Came back to Tennessee and raced it. It was, you know, fun. It wasn't exactly what I was hoping it'd be, but it was still, nonetheless, it was absolutely awesome. And anyway, I got to thank all those people for helping me out this year and everything. And they say if you're walking down the fence row and you see a turtle on the top of a fence pole, you know he had help getting there. So anyway, right off the bat, got to thank Dad he reminded me to say that because sometimes my memory just goes to crap up here. And thank Dad. Thank the IOA for helping us put our races on. If it wasn't for them and Dad and a bunch more people I'm going to name here in a second, it wouldn't be, I wouldn't be standing up here. Gary Miller, yeah, he is one of our best. Well, he's just the things he's taught us for boats and props and everything else. It's come together so well. And he's a past inductee, I know, in this Hall of Champions. So thank you, Gary. Appreciate that a bunch. And let's see here. Oh, Sherm Caldwell, our buddy from Ohio. He comes out, helps anywhere we need him. He's usually the first one. He's there before us to open the trailer, and then he's the last one to leave to close the trailer, which I know that's kind of backwards. But and then Jackie, my girlfriend, she did help a lot, you know, and I appreciate her helping. It'd be low of me to not recognize her for what she did. And again, Dad, my mom came to the Pro Nationals too, and she lives in Nashville, Tennessee, so she got to come see me. That was the first race she had ever been to, so it's kind of a good one for her to show up to. And anyway. Just thank you everyone for this awesome Hall of Champions, and I do appreciate it. Thank you.
Refusing to let up on the throttle, Terry Rinker from Tampa, Florida continued to impress this year and dominated the competition. Rinker won an astounding 4 national championships. In addition to his national championships in SST 120, SST 200, Formula 1, and Mod U, Rinker also won the SST 200 World Championship and the SST 120, SST 200, and the Formula 1 North American Championships. Rinker also added the SST 200 High Point Championship and the F1 Prop Series Formula 1 Championship to his trophy case.
You know, it's great to be back. It's always a thrill to be, you know, part of this group of individuals who excel in this sport, and to be able to win consistently like we have and our team has it's just been outstanding. We, you know, just excelled at the nationals, and everything seemed to click. You know, it's a big teamwork thing, and I've got my 2 sons racing with me now, so it's even more teamwork it takes to keep all 3 of us on the water. I've had a lot of good competition. You know, my sons themselves are pushing me real hard, and you know, they push me hard because they want me to win, but really I think deep inside they just want to beat the old man. You know, I tell you, it's tough to look back at this season and look forward and think, well, am I going to be able to do this well again? You know, it gets harder every year to repeat, but you know, we're going to do our best to get out there and win as many races as possible and championships, and keep the Blackhawk Amsoil team out front. I just want to thank my wife for all the support. She drove around in the truck with me all summer long, and you know, made the trip interesting, and you know, kept me going.
For the 3rd year in a row, please welcome Mr. Terry Rinker.
They said I got to speak right into the mic so everybody can hear me, so I'll do my best. First, I want to thank Fred for all the years that you've put in this, you know, this event together for the drivers. You know, it's a great effort. You've done a great job, and I can only hope, and I think everybody else can only hope, that your successors are as passionate about this sport and putting on this program for us every year that you are. And I guess I got to start out, you know, with our sponsor of our team, Amsoil. They've done a great job. We've had them around with our team for 8 years, and they've just been an excellent partner, supported our team and all other types of motorsports. You know, it's just been a great partnership, and I hope to continue with that partnership for many years to come, and hopefully my sons can continue to do the same thing. You you know, as everybody else has people in the sport, people that help them. My wife, Susie, I can't say enough about her companionship and the time we spent traveling to and from the races. I took on the job of driving the truck this year for most of the races, and she was my co-pilot. Made the journeys, you know, definitely interesting, kept the coffee hot for the long overnight rides. And, you know, I'm hoping that possibly maybe I can put some blocks on the pedals. She's not a really tall girl, but I can get her to help me drive once in a while. I don't know if I'll have much luck with that, but I'm going to work on it regardless. Also got to thank my sons, Rob and Ashton, on the course with me a lot of times this year, and they, you know, pushed me to win a lot of races. And really, I mean, I think they were pushing me to win, but they were more pushing to try and beat the old man, because I think that's their main goal all the time. Just as I think every son wants to beat their father and show that they're, you know, better, faster. And on top of that, my crew chief, James Chambers, we've been together for as many years as I've been racing OPC, nearly. He brought me under his wing with the Blackhawk team, and we've had great success ever since we've got together. And as you probably know, or some of you know, he's taken on being the commissioner for OPC this year. And I don't know if it's because I've completely driven him insane, and he's taken on that job, but I think he's well suited for it, and I think he'll do a great job for OPC. Fielding 2 and 3 boats, at least 2 to 3 boats at every race required a lot of crew and a lot of help. You know, I got a long list of people that I need to really thank for keeping us on the water. You know, and I'm fortunate to have friends, family, friends of family, friends of my sons, their girlfriends. I mean, we really drew a lot of people into our team to be able to do what we've done and have the success that we've had. Ken McGinnis, Max Beekman, Jamie Sullivan, Tom Kendrick, Katie Williams, Melissa Mester, Mark Sumter, Jack Angel, Mike Miller, C.J. Givens, Joe Westbizer, Keith Curry. I mean, the list goes on. There's probably many I've forgotten. My son's brothers from the same mother but a different father, they were brought on too, and they were a lot of help at home and at the races. They had a habit, or I guess it was I don't know, they just kept calling me Dad, and I'm like, well, hold it now, I'm not really your dad. But anyway, I finally got back at them because we had a trip where we had to drive all the way across the United States to Seattle. And those 2 boys got to ride with us. And I thought, well, you know, going through Kansas, them long, straight, boring roads would be a great time for them to learn to drive a big truck. a little nervous, but was able to get them behind the wheel and help me do some driving. So it paid off putting up with them calling me Dad, and they were great help, you know, every time they came out. And I guess kind of in closing, I want to congratulate all the rest of the recipients here tonight. I mean, it's a great accomplishment. You know, I've never thought I'd be in the Hall of Champions, let alone be in it several years in a row and have this accomplishment. Just the capability of being able to do this. You know, we all stand up here and we thank everybody that helps us do this. Sometimes I think we lose sight of the fact that we're all pretty damn good, and we should probably, you know, pat ourselves on the back a little bit sometimes, and you know, try to be modest, but also be proud of your accomplishments, each and every one of us. You know, whatever it takes to keep the drive going and to keep you wanting to come up and perform this great all year long, so that you can be recognized through your peers. That's you know, it's something that I've lived for, and that I want to continue to try and do as long as I can, and pass this passion on to my sons. Anyways, thank you, Fred. Thanks to APBA and for everybody for putting on such a great event. Thank you.
After waiting 28 years for his first induction, RJ West from Manteca, California is making back-to-back trips to the Hall of Champions. Competing in 13 races this year, West won 10 of them. With the help of boat owner Chuck Skelton, West was able to win the SST 45 Southwest Divisional Championship, the SST 45 Western Central Division Championship, the SST 45 North American Championship, and the SST 45 National Championship. West is starting to really hit his stride, and his future looks bright.
It's a great feeling. I mean, you know, it took so long for the first one, kind of went through the emotions of it's never going to happen. You know, it wasn't the end-all be-all. We were real successful to that point, but to have it happen twice, we just really had our ducks in a row and everything was working perfect. I'm testing now for next year. I mean, literally we took the boat home from the last race. It sat for a couple of weeks and it's at the shop getting worked on, you know, trying to make it a little better for next year because I know everyone else is doing the same thing. I'm going to try to do a couple of different races, maybe vary my schedule a little bit and hit some of the more popular races. It's hard because you're always shooting for the Hall, and if there's a certain number of races you have to go to, certain races you have to go to get that. But this year, we're going to try to hit some of the fun races, and whatever happens, happens. The one that stands out the most is the one I didn't win, but Kankakee, I guess, even though that was probably my favorite last year, this year it was a different style race. It was such a tooth and nail race last year, and down to the last second to win the race. This year, it was boring probably from a fan standpoint, but for me, it was a culmination of a lot of hard work. It was perfect. We were the fastest in qualifying. We won both the qualifying heats and the final handily, and not to say there wasn't competition throughout the weekend, but it was just the icing on the cake of a good year. I'd just like to thank the guys, like usual, Chuck Skelton, Skelton Racing, everyone that helps us and goes to the races and drives the truck and picks up zip ties in the pits. You know, it takes everybody, my wife and kids and my parents for supporting me and letting me go have fun, you know, and I couldn't thank them anymore.
Please welcome Mr. Robert J. West.
Oh, thank you. First off, thanks to Fred for all these years of work. I've only been here for 2 years, but I know that you put your heart and soul into it, and it really means a lot to you. Also, congratulations to the other inductees on an amazing season. Like Terry said, you know, everybody that's up here has had an incredible season, a career season. You know, those of you who've been many times, you know. Obviously, I'd like to take this chance to thank a lot of people. I'd like to thank Chuck Skelton, who's my owner, owns the boat, gives me anything I need. All you guys that don't own your own boats, have somebody out there knows what I'm talking about. If you need parts, he gets it. If we need to fix the boat, if we need to drive to a race, we find somebody and we go and do it. Trish Thomas, Jason Turner, that's basically his kids. Trish is his daughter. She's a scorer. She's one of the people that sits up on the judges stand for us every weekend so we can have fun. Jason, we use his truck pretty much every time we go. We beat that thing up on the road for him. He's in the pits with us all the time, except for he did miss a race this year, but that's okay. Dean and Marianne Wilson. Dean's basically our crew chief, and he oversees 3 or 4 boats every weekend and under our banner, under the Skelton Racing banner, and Marianne's another volunteer that goes up there and sits in the sun all weekend so we can play with our boats. Some other people on the team, we got Tim Dwyer. He picks up zip ties and throws away water bottles all weekend long. And my brother Warren and Dean Comer are both my teammates that I race against every weekend, and they're very selfless in their actions throughout the weekend. It always seems like the boat that I drive is the one that takes precedence in the team, as it should be. Impossible to do this without my awesome wife, Jennifer, who has supported me for 18 years. And my kids, one's passed out on the chair over there, so the other one's mad that he's still awake. Thanks to all the race officials, all the race directors, the region chairman, the volunteers, the inspectors. We cannot do this without these people. And they really, you know, they do it because they love it, and it gives us a chance to do the things that we love to do. I'd also like to thank all the people that I race against in the SST 45 class. It's the biggest class in the OPC category, and it's a lot of competition. And right now, they're at home getting their boats ready for next year, and we have to do the same thing to try to get back here next year. Thank you.
In a season filled with ups and downs, Tony Lombardo from Concord, California had all of his hard work in 2013 pay off with his second induction into the APBA Hall of Champions. From day one of the racing season, Lombardo was making waves with his A-Stock Hydro Winter National Championship. Lombardo continued his winning ways with an A-Stock Hydro Western Divisional Championship and 2 quarter-mile straightaway records in A-Stock Hydro and A-Stock Runabout. In 21 total races in A-Stock Hydro, Lombardo accumulated 8,419 total points, enough for him to earn the 2013 Gerald Waldman Award.
It's good to be back. First time was great, and this time was even better. I had a lot of help, a lot of people, went to a lot of races. And it's a lot of time, a lot of effort, but it's all worth it. It means the world to me. I'm sure it would mean a lot to Dan as well. I think from his passing, it's even nicer to finish to a great story, I think, to his life. And I feel really honored to have him in my life and for him to help me get to this point. This year was a different. I was a little bit more consistent this year as far as wins and stuff. It was just an all-around effort by a lot of people, and feels great to get to the highest award that you can get in APBA. My plans are to just race boats, keep doing it, maybe get back up here again. Sky's the limits. We'll see what happens next year. I just want to thank my family, my mom, my dad, my sister, my girlfriend Kristen Jones, the Canfields, John and Courtney, Robert Arnold, Dan and Jean Swartz, and anybody that's ever helped me in any way or form.
Please welcome Mr. Tony Lombardo.
Thank you and good night. I'm sorry to disappoint you. I didn't bring it. I didn't. I'm letting you all down. I know that. When I started in this sport, I didn't know nothing. I had no family members that race. I was no legacy. Hell, I didn't even know what an A-Stock Hydro was. I was one of those people when you go to the gas station and they come up to you and they go, "Are you going to fly that thing to the moon?" Or my personal favorite, "Are you from the carnival?" I've had that asked, believe me. When I did my first year of racing, I must have wrecked 10 times, and I didn't win no races. And I had a very special man, Dan Schwartz and G. McKay, came into my life, and they didn't have any kids, and excuse me, it's a little bit hard. I thought I was going to be able to get through this. They didn't have any kids, and I'd like to think that I was one of their sons. And me and Dan were very close, I think, because we had such a rebel outlook on life. We clicked very well. And when Dan left us in September, it was very hard that first race. I think that's when it hit me the hardest. And I didn't make Dan's funeral because I wanted to accomplish a goal of his, and that was being on stage right here in front of you. Gene, I just want to thank you, and Dan. You both took a back seat from your own racing careers to put me in front of that. And I really appreciate that because I'm not your family, and it means a lot to me. That's what makes this sport so special. John and Courtney Canfield, you were nice enough to let me race your Cracker Box this year, and we got a national championship. John, you said last night that this was a team effort. It wasn't a team effort, it was a family effort. You and John as the parents, you and Courtney, sorry. You were the concerned father figure, always worrying. Courtney, you did everything. You got in the water. You were our water puppy. You even made sandwiches and drove us to the races. She made sure the boat got to the races. Uncle Robert, the best crew chief you could ever have. And cousin Julian, he always wrote down the schedule because I don't do those things. I'm real bad at forgetting. And of course, my brother, Blake Stump, he rode with me every race this year. Never had that before, so it meant a lot to me. I'm truly blessed to have opportunities like tonight to be in front of you. APBA has given me the opportunities of going overseas with Billy Allen and the USA team. APBA and the Historical Society supported us. And I just want to give that opportunity to thank you. I think it's a really great opportunity for young people to go over and experience something that I've never experienced before. I also want to thank Wally Schliff for making the best props. He puts himself in front of puts me in front of his family sometimes. And we live 3,000 miles apart. I want to thank the Gordon Jennings family for letting me, little G, let me run your boat the last race of the year to lock up the Waldman Award. And I want to get to my family. I have one of the best machinists in the world. He's my grandfather, Ken Beavers. Vicki, thank you for coming. Aunt Martha, thank you for coming. Bill and Sandy Ebcock, thank you for coming out and supporting me. And I have a beautiful girlfriend. She's the whole package. She supports me. She doesn't give me no BS about going to the races. Sometimes I'll tell her, oh, by the way, could you pick me up Saturday night? Oh, you want to hang out? No, I need to be picked up from the airport. I'm going to a race this weekend. And my mother, she's my biggest fan. I can't think of a better mother. My sister for coming and supporting me all the time. And my father, you're my best friend. I can't think of anything better. And I just want to say thank you to APBA, Fred Miller, for all your work. Everybody here tonight, congratulations to all the winners. Thank you.
In a season that was filled with speed, Donnie Allen from Oshkosh, Wisconsin set 4 quarter-mile straightaway records. Allen set straightaway marks in A-Stock Hydro at 58.173 miles per hour, A-Stock Runabout at 54.118 miles per hour, 20 Superstock Hydro at 67.829 miles per hour, and 25 Superstock Hydro at 74.266 miles per hour. Allen also won Central Division Championships in C-Stock Hydro and 20 Superstock Hydro, as well as the 20 Superstock Hydro High Point Championship.
Yeah, it was good. It was a tough year. A lot of our nationals got blown out for the most part, so there were a lot of people not getting points for national championships. So it was kind of wide open. And then we kind of took the opportunity to go to West Virginia and go to the record runs, and breaking 4 records that weekend kind of secured the bid. Really good weekend. A lot of people helped out. a lot of borrowed equipment and classes we don't usually run. So big team effort, a lot of thank yous, and a lot more than just me doing it. I mean, everybody should kind of have one of these jackets, not just myself. Yeah, I mean, the season was different in the sense of, I mean, like I said before, the points were wide open, so you knew that you had to get them in a different way. And I had a high points that I thought I had a pretty good shot at. And I had a good average going because I won divisionals. So I had a small chunk of points, and when we were looking at it, we thought, okay, well, you still got to go finish out the season for the high points and go for it. And we've gone to record runs before. We've gone out to Yelm before and gone to Dayton. We had never done the quarter mile or the kilos, and they were eligible for Hall points this year. And started calling around and asked a couple people what they were doing with their rigs. And yeah, I mean, a friend of ours, Joey, he drove from Oshkosh by himself and brought his rig with him. So it was fun, different. I mean, it was definitely a different year. It wasn't your typical year, but our nationals don't get blown out typically either. So yeah, I mean, it's real hard. I mean, myself, a lot of other people worked really, really hard as well. I mean, Mike Pavick, Joe Pater, Joey Zlakowski, Richard Hearn. I mean, they all loaned out equipment that they had dialed in. And I've tested a lot with those guys, and we have a good team mentality of, I mean, we kind of pass our stuff around. If somebody needs something, I mean, it's theirs. And I mean, I had the high points and all that stuff, so it was kind of a good shot for me to go do it. But yeah, I mean, a lot of hours in the basement, a lot of hours in the shop, and luckily we had pretty good luck with the equipment and not a lot of major repairs. But I mean, it's a grind, and you're going, I mean, all summer into the fall. I'm a teacher, so school was in session for the first 4 or 5 weeks of this run, and I was taking the day off and flying and coming back for school on Monday, and it was a lot of fun. It really was. Yeah, you know, the 25 Superstock Hydro record was, I mean, it was a lot of fun. It was the fastest one, and it ended up going 76, almost 77 mile an hour one way. And the fun part was we broke the record, which Jeff Brewster set the year before, and then he actually went out right after I did, and he went and actually bumped my record up. So then we had to go make some changes, and we kind of went a little bit more, I wouldn't say radical, but not quite as conservative on the setup, and then we went out and bumped it again, and the weather started getting bad. So it was fun. It was like those stories when you hear about people just battling back and forth, and the record was mine, then his, and mine again. So it was really fun. It was fun for Jeff and I, and obviously me getting it probably was a little bit better feeling. I mean, he was probably a little bummed out when he was leaving, not having it, but it really was. It was a good time. Every year you go into it, and you just love boat racing. You love going and seeing the people, and sometimes you're successful, sometimes you're not. I just always think, I mean, if you just do your work, you do your job, put yourself in the situation where you have a chance, that's all you can ask for. So you always got to work hard. If you slack, I mean, luck's not going to get you that far. There's a lot of people working really, really hard all year. This guy's probably at home right now, knowing it's the Hall of Champions night, and they're probably in their basements putting motors together and banging on props. So you always got to stay ahead of everybody. The only way to do it is hard work. Yeah, I mean, just thank you to APBA. I mean, it's always a great ceremony in the Hall of Champions. It's something special that most racing organizations don't have. You get to meet a lot of cool people and different groups of people from the inboarders and the unlimiteds and the OPC guys, a lot of guys that you don't see very often. So it's a real fun, special event that we get to go to.
Welcome the third generation in the Allen family, Donnie Allen Jr.
Yeah, again, like a lot of the other people said, definitely a big thank you to Fred Miller, starting it all. When I was a kid, I'd always hear about Miller's shop and all the guys downriver and Big Mike and everybody hanging out at the boat shop, and those are the memories, and always looking up to the guy that won 3 nationals at one event. So that was always a special thing for Fred to hold his hat on. Great racer. Thank you for organizing this. Yeah, I mean, I just love boat racing. I mean, all the people in here, it's something special we get to do. I mean, last night was a pretty good indicator. You're sitting at the craps table, and there's Jimmy Shane, the unlimited driver, 2 OPC drivers, another inboard driver. You got a guy from the modified category. Jared Pavlik's trying to sneak up to the table. I mean, it kind of summarizes everything that's great about the sport. You get to spend time with all these people you care about. You get to see people every 5 years, and you feel like you just left off, and it's special. Like everybody said, big family. Our nationals was a great summary of that. I actually didn't even race a heat at our nationals this year. It got flooded. A few people got their events in, but it got flooded out. People were there in the middle of the night. Craig DeWald running around. I don't even know how old he is, but he's up at 3 o'clock in the morning pulling boat carts out of the water. And my brother for sleeping through the whole deal. That was a big help. My sister Monica was on her way to winning the only national championship we got in the party stock hydro class. So she took that one down. So it was fun, but it was a great year. I mean, a lot of people to thank. I mean, our race team with the Pavlicks and the Paters, and traveling to West Virginia on a whim Tuesday night, asking my fiance, hey, do you think you could help me buy a plane ticket to West Virginia, and kind of springing on her at the last minute, but always supportive. So thank you, Angie. Love you. Love the whole team. I mean, again, there's a lot of people you don't even meet in the room, but you feel as though you could have a conversation with them, and you'd probably be best friends when you get done. So it's great. Joe Zolkowski, driving from Oshkosh, again, asking him Tuesday before the event if he can bring a boat and a motor, and he put it together and drove all the way there by himself, drove all the way back. Thank you, Joey. Richard Hearn, again, the Pavlicks, Paters, Hearns, thank you very much. My parents, I mean, when you're a kid of two boat racers, you know you're kind of destined for it. So thank you guys. I love you guys so much. My siblings, it really has been a blast, and you kind of forget about, I mean, a lot of the other stuff. I mean, there's people that should be up here in the race committees and the people that work so hard. The racers get a lot of the credit and the trophies, but I mean, it's kind of bogus because there's so many people who do so much that doesn't get thanked and doesn't show up in the Propeller magazine. And those people, I mean, they don't get enough credit, and I really thank them and appreciate it. Again, Fred, thank you for the event. Be fun to see Adam and Kelly racing stock outboard next year, but thank you, everybody, and I appreciate it.
For an extraordinary 17th time, Ed Hearn from Valparaiso, Indiana, has made yet another induction into the APBA Hall of Champions. Refusing to slow down, and with the help of Joe Pater, Mike Pavick, and Donnie Allen, Hearn set the 25 Super Stock Runabout 3-mile 4-lap competition record at 54.233 miles per hour. The B Stock Runabout 3-mile 4-lap competition record at 50.394 miles per hour. The C-Stock Runabout quarter-mile straightaway record at 66.775 miles per hour, and the 25 Super Stock Runabout quarter-mile straightaway record at 67.495 miles per hour. Hearn also won the B-Stock Runabout Central Division Championship and the High Point Championship.
Oh, it's always good to be back. It's a feat every year. It's not easy because of the national championships being washed out, flooded out. It was based purely on high points and records, and so once the nationals was gone, it was, you know, how can we set a bunch of records and try to earn enough points to get into the hall, and so that took us to Dayton, Ohio, of course, and New Martinsville, West Virginia. The straightaway records were a lot of fun. I've never done straightaways before, and so it was a learning experience to go out and try to break a record in something that I've never done before. So that, I would say, but I set a few of those, so there wasn't any single one, but the straightaway records were by far the most fun and the most difficult to do. I'm going to say the same thing I said last year. I still want to cut back. And I did cut back. I ran mainly just one class. I ran B runabout for most of the year, and I won the High Point Championship in B runabout. But what happened at the end of the year was, you know, it was kind of, I described not having the nationals as kind of like waking up on Christmas morning and getting a note from Santa Claus that, sorry, the sleigh broke down, we'll see you next year. And so, you know, racing a lot of classes to try to set records, I think kind of made up for that. But I still hope to slow down next year. I have 4 little girls to chase, and they keep me very busy. and my wife very busy. Glad to be back at the Hall of Champions. Doesn't matter whether it's the first time or the last time. It's just as sweet as the first time.
If you ever get a chance to watch him come up the inside, please welcome Mr. Ed Hearn.
2013 was my 35th year racing. I started in 1978 in J-Stock Runabout and J-Stock Hydro. And so I told my wife at the end of the 2012 season that I was going to slow down. And when I gave my interview to Ryan Berlin last year at the annual meeting, I said the same thing. And I did intend to do that. I raced one class, B-Stock Runabout, and did fairly well, but I didn't win a lot of races, but finished high enough that I had good high point standing. And then we went to the Nationals, and as Donnie Allen mentioned, it was flooded out. And normally when you go to the Nationals in stock outboard, that kind of narrows the field down to those who are eligible to run for the Hall of Champions. But because we only crowned a few national champions at the in Whitney Point, the field was still wide open. And so I went to Dayton in August and set a couple of records, and then I got to looking at my points, and I thought, you know, I actually have a chance to get into the Hall of Champions again. But because it was supposed to be a off year and only running one class, we had made plans to sort of have a family weekend instead of going boat racing in September. And we were going to go to Cedar Point with a bunch of the Region 6 people and their families. And I told Kelly, you know, I actually might be able to win the B-Stock Runabout High Point Championship, but I got to keep racing. I don't have all the races in. And so she reluctantly gave in and said, all right, well, we can go to this place called Lake Koshkonong, which was a new race for Region 7. And we had a good time at the race. But at on Sunday afternoon, while we're all packing up and trying to pull our trailers out of the mud, I started talking with Donnie Allen and with Mike Pavick about going to West Virginia to see if we can set some quarter-mile records. Donnie thought he could get into the Hall if he had a few records, and I knew at that point I probably could get into the Hall of Champions, but there were few outlying contingencies, and if we could set a couple of records, we definitely could get in. And so when you hear Jared say it was Tuesday and Donnie say it was Tuesday before we left on Friday that we decided to go. And I ran my father-in-law's C runabout and ran a 25 runabout and set records. And my wife and I were supposed to go to Myrtle Beach, South Carolina that weekend. We had the plane tickets, we had the hotel reservation, and on Tuesday before the vacation, I said, I think we need to go to a boat race instead of go to our vacation. And she gave into that too. And not only did we go to a boat race, but we packed 5 men and a bunch of kids into a 30-foot motorhome and drove from what started out in Wisconsin and Illinois and then in Indiana, and there was a trip to Michigan to pick up a few boats and then to Ohio to pick up some more boats, and we spent the whole weekend just running around going like crazy. And I tell you, it was a lot of fun because the strategy of pulling boats out of order, especially had a lot of fun watching the drama between Donnie Allen and Jeff Brewster in the 25 hydro class. That was a lot of fun to watch. And we set some records, and so here I am once again in the down season, back up in the Hall of Champions. But I want to thank. There are a lot of people to thank. I want to thank my father-in-law for the ride. I want to thank the Allens and the Pavlicks for coming up with this stupid idea to go to West Virginia. It was a lot of fun, and especially Mike Pavick. He and my father-in-law. Those two put the whole trip together and didn't even race. Mike went. My father-in-law didn't go, but they really put the whole thing together, and they didn't even get to race. Donnie and I did the racing. But I especially want to thank my wife. It's important to have a good partner, and she's been a great partner, not only in boat racing, but also in life. Thank you, sweetheart. I love you.
Dan Koska from Indianapolis, Indiana blew away the competition this year, dominating modified outboards 350 hydro and 500 hydro classes. Claiming the 350 hydro and 500 hydro Central Division Championships, the 500 hydro North American Championship, and the 350 hydro and 500 hydro Summer National Championships propelled Koska into his second Hall of Champions induction in 3 years.
I'd say all I was just a driver. I had a lot of help from a lot of people, and I'd say my dad probably put in just as much effort as I did on the beach, not even behind the wheel. But I mean, it's tough, but luck's usually what ends up helping me in the long run.
What win are you more proud of this year than any other?
I would say probably the 500 Mod Hydro National Championship, just because I didn't win a single heat that race. I got 2 second-place finishes, and I never thought 2 second places would end up winning me a nationals, so probably that one. Next year, probably cutting back a little bit. I wasn't really planning on doing as much racing this year as we were. I was kind of hoping to be a little lax year, but that never works out that way. Once you figure out that this is a possibility, and once you figure out this is a possibility, that's all that matters. I am excited to be back. This is my second time. I got inducted the first time 2 years ago, and it's always nice knowing that when you get a repeat, that the first one wasn't just some hope. I'd like to thank everybody that helped me out getting me here, and I look forward to seeing everybody next year.
Please welcome Mr. Dan Koska.
There really are a lot of people that I would like to thank for helping me get up here tonight. I'd like to start by thanking everyone from the Indiana Outboard Association. They go above and beyond every weekend and put together some really great races. I'd also like to thank Mitch Meyer, Scott Campbell, and Craig DeWald for everything that they've done for me over the years to help me out. I'd also especially like to thank John Sharp. He's been there with me since the beginning when I started racing, and he is the S in K&S Racing. The K is for Koska, by the way. There's one thing I look forward to every year. It's the week-long National Championships event. This year at Whitney Point, it was definitely one of the more memorable nationals. From the food that everyone brought to the Taste of the Regions to kicking back at the Three Bear Inn after the races, everything about that week was just fun. Unfortunately, on Thursday night, we got about 5 inches of rain in just a few hours. It ended up flooding the park, and it put an end to all of our racing. Even though we were forced to evacuate, I did see some good come out of this. I saw friends and competitors come together as one to help each other get out of the park in a timely manner. Not one single trailer or boat was lost into the lake, and we do have a lot of people to thank for that. It was people like Gary Pond that let Mark Tate borrow his truck to pull these trailers and boats out of water that was already knee-high, and it was still rising too. For them, we owe them a lot of thanks. I think Eric Vanover, he said it best when he said, when it was all said and done, he said, the family pulled together and they pulled it off. And he was right. Boat racing really is one big happy family, and it's a family that I am happy to be a part of. This has definitely been one of my favorite years racing, just because of the amount of competition that Eric and I had together. You better believe that if he won a heat, I was right behind him, and if I won a heat, then he was right behind me. One of my favorite memories from this year, we were going down the front stretch and we were racing. Our boats were so close to each other that you couldn't even stand between the two of them. And it was halfway down the front stretch. I could see him out of the corner of my eye. And when I turned to look at him, he was already staring back at me with this grin on his face you could see through his helmet. And that's one of the few times during a race that I've just had to shake my head and just start laughing. And it's races like that that just make boat racing, hands down, my favorite thing to do. But neither Eric or I would be here tonight without a great amount of help from Cliff Johnson. The entire modified category owes him a lot of thanks from his mod conversion kit that he came up with. Just over the past couple of years, we've seen a significant increase in the 350 and the 500 mod class, and it's all thanks to him. This is my girlfriend Kelly's first year coming to the races, and while she had just about as much fun as she could stand in a weekend, she learned a few things too. She learned things like always bring a book to read, because sometimes the weekends can be long and drawn out. And she also learned that if I ask you if you want to go out in a turnboat with me, just say no. Say no, because sometimes sitting out in a boat in the middle of the lake for 2 hours in the heat just isn't all it's cracked up to be. But she gave me incentive to go out and do my best, and I owe her for that. I also owe a lot to my mom. From the moment I was born, she pretty much knew that I was going to be raised to be a boat racer. Even after seeing my dad blow over time and time again, she still allowed her 11-year-old to climb behind the wheel of a boat. Now, she wasn't raised as a boat racer, but she doesn't mean that she didn't have any boat racing in her family. It was her cousin's husband, who some of you might know by the name of Rig Smith. He was a record-holding runabout driver from up around the Thousand Islands region. He retired back in the 1970s, but I still think it's kind of cool to think that I came from 2 different generations of boat racer from 2 different sides of the country. And there's one person that's here tonight that I owe all my success to in racing. Ever since I can remember, he's been my watchdog, my mentor, my crew chief, and the reason for me being up here tonight. I owe all my thanks to my dad, Bob Koska. He raced for 35 years before he retired to join what he calls the Owners Club. Since then, he's done a fantastic job keeping our boats in mint condition. He's helped me win 6 nationals total, all with boats that are both older than a decade. He's taught me many things over the year, but there's one thing that he says to me before I climb behind the wheel every time. And he says, just go out and do your best, and that's all you can do. And he said that to me this year before I climbed behind the wheel during Dayton, Ohio, during the 500 Nationals. And even though I didn't win a single heat, I got 2 second-place finishes, and I came in and sitting on the beach, we started running the numbers, and like, wow, you know, 2 second-place finishes ended up winning a Nationals overall. But he was right. Consistency was all that mattered, and consistency was eventually what got me up here tonight. One thing that he actually did notice that was kind of funny was that all 3 of the mod inductees that are here tonight, Eric, me, and Andy, we were all pitted next to each other at Dayton, Ohio, 1, 2, 3. And that was actually the deciding factor for Andy and I that were being here tonight was that weekend. And he even said that he's leaving early next year so he can grab the same spot. And he wanted me to tell you, Andy, that he'll save you a spot if you bring some of your Wisconsin cheese curds. It's been an honor to be inducted here in Reno tonight, and I would like to congratulate everybody else that's being inducted as well. It's not easy getting up here, and it requires a lot of help from a lot of people as well as a lot of luck. It's been a great year, and I'm sad to see it come to an end, but at the same time, it gives me a lot to look forward to next year. Once again, I would like to thank everyone for helping me out, and I look forward to seeing everyone in the 2014 racing season. Thank you.
Continuing his dominant run from last season, Eric Vanover from Fairfield, Ohio, is back in the Hall of Champions again. 2013 will mark his 6th induction into the Hall. This season, Vanover again had a full slate, racing 500 modified hydro, 500 modified runabout, 750 modified hydro, and 850 modified hydro. Vanover won the 850 Hydro Central Division Championship, the 500 Hydro Southeast Divisional Championship, the 750 Hydro and 850 Hydro North American Championship, the 500 Runabout, 500 Hydro, and the 750 Hydro Winter National Championship. The 500 Runabout Summer National Championship and High Point titles in all 4 classes. Vanover's busy race season led him to win the Paul Cobb Award for most total points in 1 class, and the Bob Goller Award for most cumulative total points with 23,741 points in 53 total races.
Well, we've worked hard, you know, and we were here last year, so I mean, we just continued the program on from you know, you just got to keep working, so just keep moving forward. You know, we went through and spiffed everything up and went back after it again and just, you know, keep racing. Well, it's good, you know. It's you know, this is all about, you know, it's a family of peers and stuff like that, and it feels good to, you know, to do good around the sport that we love. So the 500 Runabout National Championship was pretty special since we just picked that class up last year because we knew if we were going to take a run at the Hall that we were going to have another class. Other than 3, we needed to run 4. So in our second year of, you know, with a brand new boat, I'm not a runabout driver at all, we won the national championships, which was kind of nice. So that's probably the best. Well, next year we got a lot on our plate. We got new 750 hydro motors going together. We've bought a new trailer so that we can haul our stuff and get it all inside so that we can make longer runs and be more self-sufficient without having to pull boats off the tops of trailers and stuff. So, and we're building a runabout for a buddy of mine and stuff like that. So we still got a lot on our plate yet this winter before racing season. So.
Please welcome Mr. Eric Vanover.
Good evening. I took my kilt off. I had a checkered flag kilt. They quit playing, so I took it off. The young guys, Daniel Koska, you see how good and easy it is for them to speak and talk. And most of the videos and stuff you see, they were taken from Daniel's boat. I appreciate that. Not much of a speech writer, and Freddie says I got to be 3 minutes long, so mine's not that long, so let's tell some stories. So, what, 5, 8 years ago, we were all at Detroit, and they took us all out go-kart racing. And I get in the go-kart after a couple of beers, and we're all racing around, and there's somebody behind me that's just all over me. He is beating the back of my cart off, and he's trying to put me in the fence, and I'm getting a little upset, and I'm driving just as hard as I can drive this go-kart. And we get all done, and I get out of the cart, and I take my helmet off to go back and see who it is, and Freddie Miller. So that might have used up a minute. So anyway, I would like to thank APBA, Freddie, for the Hall of Champions. Like I have been here 6 years. It's always been a great honor. I'd like to thank Lori Allen for all of her years of co-hosting and all that stuff. The Allen families I've known for a long time, and Lori's been a very special person to me. She's always had very nice things to say to me, and I thank her for that, and if you'd let her know, I appreciate it. Once again, congratulations to Daniel Koska. We seem to end up on the race course together a lot, as you can see from some of the videos. There was times this year that Daniel's dad came up to us and said, you know what, I think we could put a 12-foot piece of rope around both of your necks, and I don't think you guys would ever get it tight. So, and I'd like to congratulate Andy Hansen. I found out last night being here that he was at Dayton in '74, won his first nationals in 1975, and he's still here doing it today. And I know he came from stock outboard, and I really haven't known the family. I've known the name very well, but I've really enjoyed getting to know Andy, his wife, and his son. It's been great to have you at the races. I really appreciate it. I'd also like to thank the IOA and everybody that goes along with that, and all the scorers. It's a great group of people and a good family. So I'd also like to thank my family, my son Austin, Jason Hay, Eric Kerps for coming and pitting when we've got 4 classes to keep up and keep fueled and go back out. And once again, Cliff Johnson, like Daniel said, He's my partner, and we spend a lot of time on the road talking late at night, and it's been great. I hope we continue on. And once again, I have been racing for 38 years. I started in 1976, and this year on Christmas Eve, I lost my father, and he was with me all 38 years. And I'd like to dedicate all that to him. And I've got my mom here, and Mom, I want you to know I love you. Thank you all very much.
For almost 60 years, Andy Hansen from Oshkosh, Wisconsin has been tearing up the water, winning at least one national championship in each of the past 5 decades. And this year, Hansen would keep that streak going. Hansen would go on to win the 200 Hydro and 200 Runabout Winter National Championships, the 200 Hydro Summer National Championship, and High Point titles in 200 Hydro and 200 Runabout. For all that Hansen has accomplished in his racing career, none of it would be possible without the support and perseverance of his wife, Carla.
I'm very excited. It's always an honor to be here, especially my age. So it's been a fun career. You know, I've been running in a racing boat for over 50 years. And enjoy every bit of it, and I can't wait to get to the next race. Well, I think they're all very important. I don't know that. I think the first one obviously is always going to be the best. Just like, you know, your first nationals win and your first national high point. But they're all important and fun and a lot of work. I'm working on motors and boats constantly and pounding on propellers. I'm trying to get ready for next year. I'm finishing my 160th boat right now. As soon as I get home from here, I'm going to start one more. I have 10 in the basement or garage, and my wife thinks it's too many, but we've made it 50 years, so I think we can get by. I'm a second-generation racer. My father raced in the Chicago World's Fair in 1932. So our time in a boat goes back a long ways. And I didn't start till 1952 was my first race, and they lied my age so I could run when I was 8 or 9 years old. But it's a fun sport, it's a fun hobby, and the best part about it are all the people you meet and the friendships you learn and gain from these people. And I mean, I know people from all over the United States and Canada, and just so many friends in so many places. It's just wonderful. My age is taking me out of it soon, I can tell that. But yeah, I'm planning on the Winter Nationals in April, so we're going to start and see what happens after that. If we can stay healthy and they can get me in the boat, I'm ready to go.
Andy Hansen and Carla just celebrated their 50th wedding anniversary about 3 months ago. Come on up, Andy Hansen. Congratulations.
Good evening. Good evening to all. I am very honored to be here, and I have many people to thank. I'm sorry that I won't have time to thank them all. But I'll start with the technical side. And first, I'd like to thank Tim and Vicky Seedor for allowing me to run one of their motors. Then I would like to thank Ron Thomas. Ron Thomas deserves a special thanks for all the things he does. He makes my lower units faster. He makes my hardware lighter. He organizes the strategy meetings at the end of every race. He is a huge contributor to my success. Everyone should have a friend like Ron Thomas. Then there's Jeff Scheffler, who is always encouraging me to continue racing. Jeff always has time to help me with so many projects. There are a lot of people that help me. I think it's because of my age. Other names that would quickly surface: the Hoffmans, all of them, the McDonough brothers, Vic Brinkman, Mike Wienert, Bob Hetzel, Bill Pavick, and the list goes on and on and on. What a lucky guy I am. And now to the family side, by far my strongest suit. I have 2 local boys who come to the nearby races and help set up the equipment and tear it down. Bob is here tonight to help celebrate this precious moment. I also have 2 long-distance boys. One lives in New York and one lives in Hawaii. Mike, the New Yorker, a former national champion, is also here to honor the festivities. The Hawaiian comes to race with me 2 or 3 times a year. He is a great help. He uses his national championship experiences to do most of the testing. He sorts out the best engines and the best propellers, and he sets me up with the best equipment, and then he runs what may have the next best potential. Every boat racer should have a son like this. Seriously, I would not be standing here tonight if it wasn't for his efforts. Then, of course, there's the big engine, okay? We just celebrated our 50th wedding anniversary in October. She still makes all the room reservations, programs the GPS, packs all the clothes, helps in the pits, drives me to and from the races, works on the judges' stand, and she is my very best cheerleader. What a lucky guy I am. Thank you. Thank you all.
Kicking off the 2013 Unlimited Racing season on the other side of the world in Doha, Qatar, U5 Graham trucking driver Jimmy Shane from Renton, Washington, started off by taking home his first win of the season. In one of his most competitive seasons yet, Shane was neck and neck with Steve David all season long. Coming up with wins toward the end of the season in Seattle, Coeur d'Alene, and San Diego, Shane finished just 68 points ahead of David, earning him his first Unlimited Hall of Champions induction and his 4th induction overall.
Yeah, this is an unbelievable accomplishment. You know, growing up as a kid, it was always my dream and goal to run in the Unlimited Hydroplane division. And to actually be racing in it and be here as the Hall of Champions inductee is it's the greatest honor you could achieve in APBA, I believe. Pinnacle of the sport, biggest, fastest boats. It's what I've always wanted to do, and I can say that I've done it now. So it's a very gratifying feeling. Yeah, I mean, it was cutthroat all season long between Steve David and I, and very, very good rivalry. We were up at the beginning of the season, got up by 600 points, and then we had some mechanical failures throughout the middle of the season. That actually set us back 600 points right after the middle of the season. And last 3 races, we had a perfect weekend in there. And you throw that in with Lombardo breaking a propeller shaft, that's all we needed to get us to where I am right now. I would definitely have to say the one win that stands out most is Seafair, Seattle. For Unlimited Hydroplanes, it's the biggest race for us. The Gold Cup is very, very big, trophy-wise, but for actual history and location of the sport, history of the community of Seafair, it was an unbelievable experience. You're on live TV in Seattle. You know, Monday morning, headlines on the Seattle Times was Shane and Graham trucking. So to have that kind of exposure for boat racing is a very, very good thing, and hopefully it trickles down to some of the smaller classes and helps get exposure down there too. Next season is a brand new challenge for me. I will be with a new team, and I think it's going to be a great ride. It's a very, very good opportunity for me, and I'm going to definitely make the best of it.
Please welcome Mr. Jimmy Shane.
Congratulations. Hi, everybody. How's it going? Fred said that I would be the last one speaking this year, and I think he was a little worried that the last couple recipients from the unlimited category were 50, 60 years old. They had very meaningful speeches, and I will do you the best that I can here, Fred. I'd like to continue on the tradition. Dan, I don't know if Dan Canfo is still here, but if Dan could stand up. Yeah, that was a short joke. Even if Dan stood up, he'd still be pretty short. So, you know, I had the most amazing year that anybody could ever think of. Don't even think about racing. Think about life in general. I don't know how you can top a year where you get married, you have a baby, you move across the country, you start a new job as a rocket engineer, and you win a national high point championship in the unlimited category. Pretty freaking cool. And you know, I'm up here for the unlimited category, and I just want to. It's really cool that they give you the previous winners of the category in your booklets. So I just want to read off a couple of names. You have George Henley, Billy Schumacher, Mickey Remond, Bill Muncie, Dean Chenoweth, Chip Hanauer, Mark Tate, Dave Vilwalk, Steve David, and now I have the honor to add my name to that list. I really could not be in a better spot in boat racing right now. I'm very honored to be racing in the most elite category in the Unlimited's biggest, fastest, and I will continue to do it justice, hopefully. I want to give you guys a little story about how I actually got started in boat racing. 8 years old, not even legal to race yet. I did go to my first boat race. The first boat I got was from Walt Struzik. I saved up $100, an 8-year-old saved up $100. I went to Walt Struzik. I said, Walt, I want to buy that boat. And I think he was kind of in shock, kind of taken back that an 8-year-old came up with $100 cash wanting to buy a boat. And he ended up giving me the boat. He said, I'm not going to take your money, take the boat. So I have a boat. Next thing I need is an engine. Where do I go? Didn't even have to call anybody. I got a phone call from Craig DeWald. Craig DeWald said, hey, I got the 60J outboard motor. He's like, come up and get it. And we want to get you out on the water and get racing. And that's where I got started in boat racing, in the junior class. I drove 14 years old. I started driving inboard boats. I've raced every single inboard class, hydroplane-wise, and I even did a couple crazy years in Jersey Speed Skiffs with my sister riding, which was a lot of fun. In 2001, I went to the APBA national meeting, and 14-year-old kid, APBA national meeting, they had the Night to Remember in Seattle, and lucky for me, the Night to Remember was the Budweiser hydroplane shop. So picture a 14-year-old kid. I had never seen an unlimited before in my life. And I get to go to the Budweiser shop. 14-year-old kid, I walk in. I got a private tour from Dave Vilwalk. Saw engines, gearboxes, motors, and finally, you know, I had my dad. I was going to print out a picture. I took my picture in front of the Miss Budweiser boat. And funny thing is, that's the same boat that I drove this year and won this honor. And so that's a pretty cool story. You know, there's a lot of people that I have to thank to get up here. Starting all the way back in the outboard category, the DeWalds, the DeFibos, the Ponds, the Runnies. I'm going to miss a lot of you guys, but it would take forever for me to name all the people that got me here. As far as getting here in the unlimited circuit, in order to race in the unlimited, you have to have a breakthrough moment, and my breakthrough moment came when I got the chance to drive a 5-liter hydroplane for the Webbers. The Webbers were already established unlimited hydroplane drivers, and they gave an 18-year-old kid an opportunity to drive a 5-liter, and 2 years later I got the opportunity to test the Miss Budweiser boat, which was then the Formula boat. So I have to give a big thank you to the Weber brothers for giving me the first opportunity, which started my, my time to get into the Unlimiteds. Next, I have to thank, obviously, my team. Ted Porter, the owner of the boat, gave me the opportunity to drive the boat, and I could not thank him enough. Rob Graham was the sponsor with Graham Trucking. Absolutely biggest boat geek you'll ever find. He has a shrine of hydroplane memorabilia when you go up into his office. I have to thank the entire crew. It's a big effort to run one of the unlimited boats, and the crew that we have is huge. We have 10 guys that come to the races, and I was very fortunate to have one of the best unlimited crews on the circuit. You know, I have to thank Fred Miller. I've been up here before, and it's funny how things change, because I got inducted in 2005, and I came up here and I was funny and making jokes, and I was trying to pick up the girl that was doing the commentary for the videography. You know, I was totally different, and now I come up here. I have a family. I'm married. I have a baby, and it's amazing what time will do to you. Yeah, I would like to thank my extended family, which has grown immensely this year. Adam Allen became part of our family, and he helped give birth to a beautiful cousin of mine with my sister Kelly, and I'm very thankful that Adam's part of our family now. Also, the Bonancinis, they were a big part of my my success this year. They gave me places to stay when I was on the West Coast, and I got to marry their beautiful daughter, which is also a plus. Now I get to the heart and soul of my life. What are we all here for? We're here because we're boat racers. This is what we do. We are one big family, and we'll do anything to help people out, get on the race course, give them engines, give them boats. It happened to me, I've seen it. But I have to thank my immediate family. And now, the newest immediate family is my wife, Bianca, and my son, Colton. They give me the love and support that I could only ask for out of anyone, and I never thank her enough. I always get up on the podium at the races when I win, and I never remember to thank Bianca. And I want to tell you that I love you, and you're a big reason that I'm up here tonight. So thank you. Thank you for giving me one of the greatest joys of my life, Colton. He is amazing, and a baby will change your life for sure. Lastly, you know, this is a tough one for me too, because they announced that I was from Renton, Washington, but I will always consider, and I was born and raised in Haverty Grace, Maryland. My parents are my lifeblood. They gave me the racing gene. I was born with it. I was pretty much forced into racing, and I wouldn't have it any other way. My mom has worked effortlessly, countless hours for APBA. I love her to death. I never tell her that I love her enough, and I want to tell my mom that I love her. And I would lastly like to thank my dad. I know how hard it must have been to find out I was moving away, and I just want you to know that I'm up here because of you. My dad was an APBA Hall of Champion inductee in 1978, and I absolutely cannot thank you for everything that you have instilled in my life. If there's anything that I can say to the people leaving tonight, it's to continue to give your children goals in life. I had a goal of becoming an unlimited hydroplane driver. I wanted to drive the Miss Budweiser, and I made that a goal. My parents, my dad, they gave me the base of everything. They gave me the tools to work with. They gave me the knowledge of how to succeed in life, and I took it and ran with it. And I'm very, very happy and excited to be up here today representing the unlimited category. And I love you, Dad. I love you, Mom. Thank you guys very much. I want to thank Fred Miller again, 40 years, that is 12 years longer than I am old. So thank you for everything you've done. Thank you, APBA, for giving all of us a place to race. And congratulations to all the other winners. We all know that this is a very hard thing to do, to get up here. And it takes passion, it takes drive, and I'm going to do my best to continue it on for years and years to come. So thank you guys very much, and have a great night. Thank you.
I'd like to just close my portion by saying this has been a great honor to represent this group of people for 40 years. I know this thing will continue on. Ernie Daw will do a great job in the future, and he'll get a lot of help just like I had. Without all that help, this thing wouldn't be as big as it is, but it's huge now. Thank you very much, Mr. President.
Well, thank you all for coming. Congratulations to all the winners. I'd especially like to thank the leaders of our Hall of Champions committee, Ernie Daw, Tracy Trolley, and let's give one last big applause for Fred Miller for 40 years of service.